with Doug Russell.
It does mean something.
Nick Bruzowitz.
Beat him up in private.
And Dave Gasper.
Let's stay up all night long.
From Monroe Street to Lombardi Avenue.
There is your dagger.
This is your daily deep dive into the teams we love and the games we watch.
Touchdown, Wisconsin. And there it is. The Brewers will punch a ticket to the postseason.
Now here's Doug Russell.
You know, it's a good thing we don't talk a whole lot of Bucks basketball this early in the season. We'll get there as the season goes on, but basketball doesn't really matter that much in the month of November. No. I don't think that basketball should even start until the first of the year, but that's a battle I lost a long time ago. Started in December, maybe started on Christmas, and then have it go through, say, July. I mean, when the Bucks won the NBA championship, they won it in mid-July. They won, the end of July 21st. So the product, I think, is better. See, here's the difference between, we all want more sports. We all want more football. We all want more 162 baseball games and 82 basketball games and 82 hockey games if, you follow a professional team. The product does get diluted, and if you want case in point, look at last night's Bucks game. Business end of a back-to-back, and they did not at all show up. The product was better in the NBA when there were fewer games. And the only time that there were fewer games, the pandemic, there were fewer games. But then you go back to the lockout of 2000, and there were 50 games. And the product was actually really good. Welcome into D.N.D. The Bucks sucked last night, but, that's going to happen when you've got 150 games going on over the course of a 6-month season. Hello, Nick.
Hello, Doug. Yeah, it's a great point about the NBA. If they were to push it back, let's just say hypothetically, the NBA Finals would line up with All-Star Week, give the baseball players a full week
there
off.
You go.
You know what I mean? Instead of just the 4 days that they get. Yeah, I mean, there's ways to look at it. People don't care about the NBA, especially in the heat of the NFL season.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Morning, Dave.
Morning. At this point in the year, especially with the way the NBA has structured their season and their postseason as well, with 2 months of the playoffs, over half the league gets in, it makes the regular season practically worthless anyways. There's very few things that are going to change much. I mean, the Bucks were like, the regular season does not matter anywhere near as much because of how many teams get in there. It makes the games not matter. So when you look at a November game, a back-to-back, whatever else, it's a loss. No one really bats much of an eye at it. And the NBA created this problem themselves. And that's why we feel this way about a November game with Milwaukee Bucks. And that is kind of also is going to lead to, it's like, hey, how can we get some action on this game? Like, why is there a random, thousands of dollars worth of bets on Terry Rozier unders on this random November game?
Right.
Oh, that's a little fishy.
Well, and that's why the NBA also created this convoluted in-season tournament as well. And listen, hey, the Bucks won it last year. They put up a banner and everything.
It means
something. Can you tell me when
right?
it starts?
That's the thing. Nobody knows.
Who cares still? I mean, it hasn't gotten its legs.
The NBA has I'll give Adam Silver credit in this sense. They've tried. They're trying. Right. They're trying to be relevant. They gin up the floors. So it's something different. It's something unique. It's not necessarily the regular season, although the games count, which is confusing. So they're giving it an effort, right? And Adam Silver is never going to be able to get his owners to say, you know what's going to make the product better? Fewer games. Yeah. Because the owners will never go for it, because unless the salaries are cut dramatically, and as we've talked about over and over again, once you sign that contract, you're never getting the money back. And the Players Association would never go for it because they like the huge salaries. But the NBA has tried to keep themselves, I don't know if relevant is even the right word for it. They're just trying to get people to not ignore them. And listen, Wisconsin, Milwaukee, it's been one of the most successful teams in the NBA over the last decade plus. They've won a championship. We all know. And yet, it's like, okay, well, the Bucs just get their ass kicked, and I there's just no buzz yet about this team, and there won't be any buzz probably until either the Packers season is over or the Bucs get closer to
April.
Yeah. I mean, my God, that's deep into baseball season now.
Because we feel pretty good about the Bucs' chances of making the playoffs, especially since 10 teams from each conference.
It's harder to not make the playoffs, Dave, than it is to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
More teams make the playoffs in the NBA than don't make the playoffs in the NBA.
Which is, on one hand, just completely ridiculous. So you have that many teams making the playoffs. But second of all, you feel pretty good about the Bucs being able to get there. And ultimately, that's where we're going to judge them if this was a good, successful season or not. When they won the title, they were the 3 seed.
Yep.
So I mean, seeding, okay, it doesn't really matter that much.
And when they've been the number 1 seed, they've gotten bounced.
Yeah.
Even in the first round once.
Yeah. So what does the regular season matter then? The NBA has made it so that their regular season doesn't matter, whether by design or not, or just by accident. That's simply the reality that they face. And so if we feel pretty good about the Bucs making the playoffs, which we do, what incentive is there to be living and dying on every single game when all it's going to be judged is by April, when we got 6 months to wait for that?
Yeah.
At what point do you feel that way with the Brewers? If I'm being honest.
I think there should be 150 games.
I'm just saying, there's a pretty good confidence 6 or 7 years the Brewers are going to be a playoff team. Like, why should you care about early season games?
There's still no guarantee every single year that the Brewers are going to make it, because you don't have half the league, half the league
That's fair.
Making the postseason. With baseball, with however many games that they have, with the competition in the division, I mean, coming into last year, there was no guarantee that the Brewers were making the playoffs. They just lost their starting shortstop. They traded away their star closer. And then all of a sudden, you're going to say they're guaranteed to make the playoffs. There were very few people, if any, that were guaranteeing the Brewers making the playoffs at the beginning of last season. And, especially 6 weeks in when the Brewers are playing sub 500 baseball. So baseball to me has it where, yes, there are a lot of games, and yes, it can take a while and can be a little bit draining to go through, but those regular season games do still matter quite a bit in Major League Baseball.
Well, if baseball was also right now, there'd be a lot less interest. I can tell you, to be completely honest, to be transparent, I lose interest in baseball the second football starts. It becomes the back burner. I don't even care how good my team is. Football becomes number 1. So there's a point there. 2011 lockout also in the NBA. They started on Christmas Day, 66 game season that year.
That was a better product.
Far better.
I just think you look at the NBA as you guys have highlighted, you got 2/3 of the league in the postseason. In the MLB, it's 40%. In the NFL, mental math, 14 out of 32, pretty close to 40%.
I think
it's not that equitable.
Yeah, and I would say this: the only pushback that I give to Dave a little bit is that after opening day, there's a lot of air quotes baseball fans that do kind of check out for a while.
That's right.
Yeah,
and if they don't partially, and maybe more than just partially, at least here they say that all politics is local, right? I think sports fandom kind of is like that as well. There's no Packers going on. There's no football that's going on in April and May and June, unless you're a draft degenerate like we all are here. At the game, but especially last year when it was in Green Bay. So there's less that baseball has to, there's less traffic, if you will, that they have to deal with. But also, we were making a joke in the pre-show meeting about how full the press box is. We've all seen the press box at American Family Field on opening day. That's pretty full.
Yeah.
What's it like for game 2?
Not as much.
That's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
that's quite charitable.
Less.
Yeah. It's far emptier on the second day after. And that's there's going to be that when you do have 162 games. It's far different from what football has gone with, where it's the rarity aspect, where it's only one game a week. So everyone's kind of living and dying on every single game. A little bit different in baseball with 162, but every single game does still end up mattering because we see a lot of these coming down to the wire. The AL East this year, it was tied. The Blue Jays won it on a tiebreaker. And if they lose that tiebreaker, if they lost one extra game or whatever it was to the Yankees, they could have been the wild card seed, and they could have not been in the World Series and not been living and dying on Game 7 there at the end.
Sure, but you could say that about every sport. They could have,
yes.
You can say that about every sport, though, right? I mean,
one more loss could have changed everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but over the course of 162, it still is each and every single one of those that kind of matters. You know, whether it's that random Tuesday game in May or whatever it was, when it comes down to it, it's 94 wins and whatever many losses. It's like you look back at any single one of those, it's like, oh, man, we could have won that game, should have won that game, and they all kind of end up mattering.
But how often, here, I'll push back again. How often has Murph or anyone else, after a tough loss or a game that didn't go their way, kind of after the game, just kind of shrug their shoulders and say, you know what, sometimes that's just baseball, or words to that effect? Because it is. Sometimes you're going to, gack a game that you shouldn't. Whereas in the NFL, if you do if you have a game like that, it feels like you're entering a funeral parlor when you go into the post game.
Oh, for sure.
So with baseball, because there are so many, I'm not saying that they don't count. It's my assertion has always been, you want to win as many series as you can. Sure.
Yeah.
That's great. They don't count series at the end of the season.
Right.
They don't. They
it's
count
total wins.
It's how many games you won. Winning series is great because it shows you kind of the trend, how you are through the entire season.
You win more games than you've lost.
They don't count that at the end of the year, though. They don't give a rip how many series you won. It's how many games you won. So yes, every game. I think my point, though, is that every game during the regular season matters, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, or whatever. They take on added significance when there are fewer of them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, sure, they all count.
And if baseball,
like last night's Bucks game counts, even though the regular season doesn't necessarily matter. It might might be seeding 3 versus 4 or something like that at the end of the. But they weren't even competitive, and I think the original crux of the conversation was there's too much basketball.
Yeah, and like the seeding, how much does it matter in the NBA? I think the seeding matters a little bit less in the NBA than it does in the NFL and Major League Baseball.
That's right.
Who's the number one seed in the baseball in the National League this year?
It was the Brewers.
How'd that work out for them?
Well, they made it to the NLCS.
And how'd that work out for them?
Well, could have gone better.
It didn't work out, all right?
Yeah.
But
also the Blue Jays were the number one seed in the AL.
Sure.
So, and the Dodgers have the rare opportunity to just sleepwalk through the regular season and still end up in the playoffs and just boat race everyone because they have like 3 Cy Young winners and 3 MVPs.
So isn't that kind of against your argument then?
Well, the Dodgers, this is the argument of the Dodgers ruining baseball.
World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Dodgers
living
live in the
their own
world of the NBA. The regular season doesn't matter. They're a postseason team, right? That's kind of where they're at. I can see the difference between a team like the Brewers where it's like, okay, there's some level of competition and a high level of play that needs to be met with the opportunity to make the playoffs. The Dodgers just will make the playoffs. But I did raise this point this morning to circle back to the NBA. It's the only level of basketball in your entire life where you'll play in consecutive nights. Right? I mean, high school, you don't. College basketball, you don't. You come close in the tournament where you go Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday.
Conference tournament, you do.
Yeah, conference tournament.
Well, there you go. And that's a good point. There you go. So there isn't much basketball that you play consecutive days, certainly at a high level. And you get to the NBA, back-to-backs. You saw it last night. I mean, the Bucks were complete garbage pretty early, and it was pretty evident that they were not going to be able to compete. They lose by almost 30 to a team they beat earlier this season already. Giannis plays all right. Rest of the team not well. Back-to-backs have been a long time conversation across the board in the NBA. Maybe it's in the new CBA if they can negotiate it in that they get rid of them.
Then you're going to have the season run another 3 weeks or so because you got so many back-to-backs. The playoffs are already 2.5 months. Listen,
I'm way too long.
Well, the argument would be to strip some of the games, right? Which won't happen. You just get rid of.
Or
there you go.
Or another point, because we've seen this raised as well about the only level of basketball where they play 48 minutes. Would they instead go to 10-minute quarters and play 40-minute games? And that way, even if you still have the same amount of games, you have less basketball per game. And that way it's a little bit less wear and tear on the body. You don't have to do quite as much load management, quote unquote. I know the NBA has floated that out there as well. Is that something maybe that they could put into the next CBA when When does the next CBA come up for
soon?
NBA?
I mean, it feels like it's every
Soon?
5 years in the NBA. But NBA CBA, I'm Googling that now. I just talked out loud what I was doing.
29, 30.
I'm
But we
losing
like
it.
it.
I'm losing it. Halves. They need to do halves, right? This is the only sport. You play basketball growing up, you play 2 halves. You don't necessarily play quarters. In college, you play 2 halves.
Men's college basketball, you play 2
And
halves.
And the European game, you play halves. I mean, you don't necessarily have quarters. And the NBA currently has quarters, so.
But either way, you shave 8 minutes off of game time, and that could dramatically change what you have there with basketball. Because then, even if you still have the same amount of games, it's going to be less wear and tear. The back-to-backs maybe get a little bit easier.
5 more years.
Yeah. You still got 29 to 30 is the season it runs out. But yeah, maybe that could be a way to, you shave a couple of games off in terms of game time, but you still have the same number of gates, which is going to make all the owners super happy because they're not actually losing games.
Yeah, but it's who's going to piss off the fans who are getting less basketball, who are paying for it.
Oh, 100%.
There's no.
I'm not saying it won't.
Here's the rub on all of this. The NBA has created this, and now they can't get themselves out of it. I think all the proposals that we've thrown out there are things that, in theory, should happen, but in reality, can't because there's no stomach for it in the NBA.
Yeah.
Whether it's because if there are 40-minute games instead of 48-minute games, the fans will feel perhaps cheated that they're not getting as much for their money, for their entertainment dollars, perhaps they were before. Would that help the players? Sure. But then you'd have to think about, well, what is that going to do to the record books when it comes to scoring averages? Because there's 8 fewer minutes, scoring averages are going to plummet. What's that going to do to, for example, salaries moving forward? Because if there's less basketball and there's less scoring, well, why do I have to pay somebody $35, $45, $55 million a year? Perhaps I don't. Does that mean that the ticket prices are going to come down? Is there less money? These are all things that have been created by the NBA that has damaged the product. And you can extrapolate that into other sports as well. I think that the NFL, as much as we love more football, and we all love more football, I love more football, especially football that's meaningful instead of those meaningless preseason games, except for, the 48th through 53rd guy on the roster trying to make the team, or coaches that I think would love to play 12 exhibition games because then they can just do all of their evaluating. But for the fans, the preseason sucks out loud. It is a much lesser brand of football, masquerading as the National Football League. But the 17th game, you can make the argument, well, does that water it down a little bit? Perhaps. Would an 18th game water it down a little bit? Yeah, probably. Would a 19th or a 20th? Yeah. When you start to expand and expand and expand and expand and expand, because we love football so much, that doesn't mean that the product itself is getting better. I missed the 16-game season. I think it was so clean. It was 4 games. And you didn't have to worry about, odd number of games. But again, they're never gonna scale it back at all. And I don't know that that's helpful for the product. And we saw it last night. We're going to keep seeing it in the NBA on these back-to-backs. That's the jump. The back-to-back last night is the jumping off point because the Bucks came out and laid an egg. They looked terrible last night. They looked tired. They looked logy. They just didn't have the same energy that this team is expected to have. And they got their asses handed to them by a Toronto Raptors team.
That wasn't playing on a back-to-back.
That wasn't playing on a back-to-back. When you're on the business end of that and the other team isn't, you want to talk about Vegas. Take that to Vegas because that's a sucker's bet right there. Every time.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for them to be in. And yeah, as you mentioned, Doug, I mean, they made their bed. Now they got to lie in it, even if there's a horse's head and, one end of it, and you may end up sleeping with the fishes at the end because you got involved with the wrong people, made the wrong decisions. But
been watching some gangster movies, haven't you?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we were talking movies a little bit yesterday, and sometimes you just gotta watch a movie. But
it's really interesting to see that the Trailblazers are like 4-2 or 4-1 since Chauncey Billups was fired after being terrible.
Imagine that.
Amazing how that happens.
He was throwing games.
Huh? Who's
with his X-ray glasses? I don't know.
If you got any thoughts on back-to-backs, feel free to hit us up on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line 877-794-1973. Sports are just, and listen, the other thing is about the back-to-back in the conference tournaments, which we brought up. what's the conversation every March when it rolls around? How deep do you want your team to go in the conference tournament? Because that tournament doesn't mean anything as compared to the one that's coming up next. Unless you have to win it all to get in, unless you're like in the Horizon League and you need that automatic berth. If you're a team like Wisconsin, who I think is comfortably, looking at the talent, I think they're going to comfortably make it to the NCAA tournament this year. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I want them to go deep in the NCAA or in the Big Ten conference tournament because it's going to wear them out for the next round, which really matters.
Yeah.
There you go.
Each of the last 2 years, they advanced all the way to the Big Ten conference tournament championship game
and couldn't
lost.
Get out of the weekend.
And then they got, and then last year with the tournament, they got a tough draw of playing like early on Thursday. Like typically, if you make it to those, the Big Ten championship game, they try and play you on Friday instead, give you that extra day of rest. But they threw them early on Thursday, so even less rest for that first round game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
it has not worked out well for them.
No, it has not.
877-794-1973. All right, we got a lot of stuff to handle on today's program. Wayne Larrivee is going to join us in about 15 minutes or so. Asante Samuel Jr.'s name is out there. Should the Packers kick the tires on him? Doesn't look like Nate Hobbs is going to come back for a couple of weeks. I haven't made up my mind to whether that's good or bad, but it's probably a depth thing. Also, the first college football playoff standings have come out. There's a Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel article that's very interesting to me. I want to hit that coming up a little bit later on. And in our final hour, Jim Polzin from the Wisconsin State Journal will join us. We are just getting started. Doug Russell, Nick Bruzewitz, Dave Gasper. We are D.N.D. on the game.
ARM. I'm not sure what it was that really made y'all mad, but I guess this is what I gotta do to make y'all rap. I mean, can't fool the city, man. They know what's up.
You are listening to D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave.
This pains me to say this, but Dave's right.
Hey, why does that pain you to say? I'm right quite a bit, I think.
Middays here on the game.
Baby, right.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1969.
In January of 69, Creedence Clearwater Revival has a number 2 hit with Proud Mary. The Beatles perform live for the last time on the rooftop of Apple Records in London. And after touring as the New Yardbirds in September of 68, Jimmy Page renames the band Led Zeppelin and releases their debut, which goes top 10 in both the U.S. and U.K.
Oh, good times, bad times, you know I've had my share. When the woman left home for a blind man, but I still don't seem to care.
In February of 69, Detroit rockers MC5 released their debut album Kick Out the Jams on Elektra Records. Tommy James and the Shondells have a number 1 hit with the psychedelic-influenced Crimson and Clover. And San Francisco's Sly and the Family Stone go to number 1 with the single Everyday People.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1969. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1971.
The Doors released their 6th and final studio album, L.A. Woman, while Paul McCartney releases his 2nd solo album, Ram, which goes to number 1 UK and number 2 US. The album includes several jibes at John Lennon and the number 1 single, Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey. In May of 71, soul singer Marvin Gaye releases his concept album What's Going On and has 3 top 10 singles. And Rod Stewart's 3rd solo album goes number 1 and has a number 1 single, Maggie May.
Maggie, I wish I'd never seen your face.
In July of 71, The Who releases Who's Next. It tops the charts in the UK and goes to number 4 in the US.
Teenage wasteland, oh yeah. Teenage wasteland. They're all wasted.
The Allman Brothers released their breakthrough live double album at Fillmore East. And in August, the concert for Bangladesh, organized by George Harrison and Ravi Shankar, is held in New York City. In addition to the organizers, Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, Badfinger, Leon Russell, and Billy Preston appear.
Feel like it's all gently weak.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1971. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1970.
Don't keep me waiting here. Lead me to your
Beatles released the Phil Spector-produced album Let It Be. It generates 3 number-1 hits, Get Back, Let It Be, and their final number-1, The Long and Winding Road. The Kinks' song Lola, about a romantic encounter with a transvestite, makes number-2 UK and number-9 US. In July, the Stooges released their second album on Elektra Records, Fun House. And British band Mungo Jerry are number-1 in the UK, number-3 in the US with the single In the Summertime.
Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
In August, Eric Clapton releases his first solo album and scores a top 20 hit with his cover of J.J. Cale's After Midnight. Neil Diamond scores his first number-1 with Cracklin' Rosie. September of 1970, Neil Young has a top 10 album with After the Gold Rush. War, an anti-war protest song by Edwin Starr, tops the charts.
What is it good for? You tell me. Say it.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1970. Coming up.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to get some insight on his latest release, Rocket Science.
It's a guitar-based record for sure, and I love big hooks, and not a country record at all. It's a rock and roll record, but it does have some country elements.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
I'm Jason Flom, founding board member of the Innocence Project, and my new podcast is Wrongful Conviction, available on iHeartRadio. On Wrongful Conviction, I interview a different exoneree every week and help them to tell their incredible stories of tragedy and triumph against impossible odds. You've got to hear it to believe it. Wrongful Conviction from iHeart Studios, available now on iHeartRadio.
It's D.N.D, Doug, Nick, and Dave on this Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Coming up in less than 10 minutes, Wayne Larrivee will join us here on the program. The Packers stood pat, went standing pat. I don't know. I was an English minor. I should probably know. They stood pat at the trading deadline. Did not make any moves yesterday, major or minor. The Jets overhauled their entire roster. But they've got a really good draft class coming up. Well, you know what? Why wouldn't you? As Sauce Gardner tweeted out, you went from 1-7 to 7-2 in the blink of an eye. So good on him.
Yeah, and in the words of Woody Johnson, when you got a quarterback who can't complete a pass, what good are you really going to have anyways? So load up on that draft capital. They just acquired 3 first-round picks, 3 more first-round picks over the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Not
to
bad.
replace the guys that they drafted with first-round picks.
And poor Breece Hall just left there.
Sticking around.
Yeah, just kind of the Will Smith meme, just kind of looking, seeing an empty
He's got
living
nothing.
room.
And so I'm wondering what that means for my fantasy team, because it all starts here.
Of
course. And I mean, he's going to get the rock more, I suppose, but for a team that is just going to be on like the death march to the end of the season.
Yeah, and especially with no defense.
His fantasy value is going to be relatively the same. And that's the problem. You're anticipating him being dealt and his fantasy value going up, right? Whether it was the Chiefs, the Texans, the Cardinals, to be with a more competent franchise would have been more value from him. So it's disappointing, but he's a free agent at the end of the year. He'll survive, he'll get paid, and he'll get to pick from the litter where he wants to end up.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, if he had gotten moved, would that not mean increased fantasy value for our guy Braylon Allen?
Braylon, if he returns this season,
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. He's out.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, Isaiah Davis. A lot of people grabbed him in anticipation of Breece leaving. Now they're just sitting there waiting.
now they're putting him back on.
Yeah, dropping him and waiting to see what happens.
So the Packers didn't do anything. Did they need to make a move? Sometimes I think, deadlines spur action, and I don't know that we necessarily needed to see the Packers do that much, because I don't know that there was a trade out there that was there to be made. I mean, they don't have the draft capital that the Jets would have wanted for a Sauce Gardner, and there were probably a lot of teams that were inquiring about Sauce Gardner, because he's a lockdown cornerback, one of the best in the NFL, and that's the one area where the Indianapolis Colts really had some holes. And if you're a 7-2 team, you're starting to feel it. You've got new ownership, created by the death of Jim Irsay last year, but his daughter Carly's been taking over and has taken a real interest in the football operations of the program. So I'm not surprised that they did that. I think that the Indianapolis Colts are going to be really, really aggressive from here on out. And we saw that. And I kind of give him a lot of credit for that. Another former Badger, Jonathan Taylor, has had a really good first half of the season as well. So he looks younger than what his chronological age would be, because NFL running backs don't last very long. But he's really kind of separated himself, certainly in the AFC. All right, we'll take a quick timeout. We've got Wayne Larrivee coming up in just a few minutes as well here on D.N.D. Again, still to come, we've got the college football playoff standings, and it leads to the question of, remember when they ripped out the turf at Camp Randall Stadium after just 2 seasons because they put those underground heating coils in, because the thought was, well, now we're just going to start racking up hosting games in late November and early December for the college football.
Fun times.
Yeah, that was the thought at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It has not come to fruition.
It was a great 10 minutes.
It was a great thought at the time. There was so much enthusiasm just 2 years ago when the hire was made, and now it is. It's a really challenging time to be a Wisconsin Badgers football fan. And there's an article in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that talks about high school football coaches and their relationship with Badgers coach Luke Fickell. And some are better than others. Listen, this isn't a hatchet job, but it is enlightening. And we'll hit that coming up a little bit later on as well. It's D&D, Doug, Nick, and Dave. Wayne Larrivee coming up straight ahead. Stay with us on The Game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game. If you missed No BS, you missed out on this.
Voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee hanging out with us here. After how emotional Pittsburgh was and how much everyone's looking forward to Philadelphia, this wasn't super surprising to see the lack of juice, was it?
I would love to argue with you on that, but I really can't. The emotion, the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, they get even the best of teams. But the key is really the really good, mature teams find a way to play over that. And, you're exactly right, Billy. The emotion, that Pittsburgh game, okay, the players and the coaching staff, especially going into that game, tried to downplay it as best they could. That game meant a lot to that football team. And I saw it in the locker room after the game. Those guys were hanging around in Pittsburgh, and they were savoring the moment. And it was a big deal because it was a time for them to prove that their guy, Jordan Love, not only was surpassing Aaron Rodgers at this stage, a better player, but they were intent that he would be able to beat Aaron Rodgers in a matchup, maybe the only matchup they'll ever have against one another.
Billy and Armin are talking about all of your favorite teams each morning from 6 to 10 on The Game. Don't miss D&D middays here on The Game.
Yeah, I've just got to get on my soapbox here after just watching this series, this NLCS, and just how baseball has kind of played out here. It pains me to say this and pains me to kind of talk about this, because this is not something that I've wanted for the longest time, but that lockout is going to be coming in 2027. And at this point, I want it, and I want it to go as long as it takes until there is a salary cap. But MLB needs to implement a salary cap, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are proving to be exactly why. In terms of just the amount of money that the Dodgers are spending just on this roster and how absurd it is, the Dodgers this year have a $416.9 million on their competitive balance tax payroll. Let's compare to other salary caps around the league. The NFL, their salary cap, $279.2 million. The NBA salary cap, $154.6 million. The NHL salary cap, $95.5 million. You total that up, Doug, and you get $529.9 $1.3 million for the salary caps for all three of the other major sports leagues. The Dodgers' competitive balance, their payroll plus the luxury tax that they're paying $168.9 million in luxury tax. The Dodgers are spending $585.8 million just on this year's roster. That is more than all three of the other leagues' salary caps combined.
D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave. Middays here on the Game.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Elton John to discuss the creative formula when working with Bernie Taupin.
Well, we were a group of musicians and writers, or Bernie and I were writers, and we never wanted to rest on our laurels. We never did. It was all about the next one. Let's see if we can make a musically better album than the next one, take a little bit more risks. All my albums were very different from each other. Elton John was different from Tumbleweed, was just different from Madman, which was different to Honky Chateau. So, we didn't repeat the same formula. We were a group of musicians finding our way and having a joyous experience doing it. And I think the momentum of that and the fact that we did get on well with each other, it just came as a natural progression. And we didn't think about it. I mean, this is instantaneous music. This is not a brill building stuff. This is, I sit down, write the song, the band's there, go over the studio, play it, bang.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Elton John and all your favorite artists.
It's the D&D Midday Show here on the Game Radio Network. The NicoleLaw.com talk and text line always open to you at 877-794-1973. We are awaiting the Hall of Fame voice of your Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee, joining us. Hopefully that takes place soon. Jim Polzin from the Wisconsin State Journal. He will join us coming up in the 1 o'clock hour as well. We've got a Camp Randall Stadium alcohol update coming up a little bit later on in the show. Kind of a disappointing one. A little bit, maybe. Also, the college football playoff standings are released, and Wisconsin nowhere to be found. Which I know, not really breaking any news there.
Yeah, I was so expecting them to be in there, Doug. I thought for sure they'd be in the top 12.
3 years ago, if you would have said that, yeah, I think a lot of people would have expected it, especially with the expansion of the college football playoff. And this is where we're at right now. So when you see all of the firings that have gone on in college football, you're kind of wondering, it's like, okay, well, what is the expectation then? I don't think, listen, what's going on in college football right now, I think is ridiculous. I think that, when you're paying $50 million to coaches to not coach them anymore because they've had a down season, or in the case of James Franklin, a couple of bad weeks, I think it's over the top. It's ridiculous, and it sets a dangerous precedent. And I don't know how college football has a course correction on this. I don't know if they do have a course correction on this. It's once again, it's kind of what we were talking about before in the first segment of the show with all the money that's gone on in professional sports right now. There's got to be a breaking point. Everything has a breaking point. You just don't know where it is. And for college athletics, I mean, are we going to fire coaches after 2 years now, 3 years? You sign them to these long-term contracts and they never get fulfilled. Very rarely do they get fulfilled. You look at Brian Kelly got thumped in year number 3. James Franklin was there a lot longer at Penn State, but he was literally 3 defensive stops away from being the top 2 or 3 team, one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country.
Yeah, getting himself into the national championship game. Brian Kelly signed a 10-year deal, and he's out in year 4. Like, why are you signing him to a 10-year deal? If there's no way he's going to be there all 10 years, even if everything goes right. It's ridiculous, and you have all these years added on. Like, we talk about like Ed Policy not wanting Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur to be on lame duck contracts with just 1 year to go. Mm-hmm. It feels like lame duck contracts are like having 3 years to go in college football. Like if you got 3 years, it's like, oh no, that's a lame duck. You got to get yourself an extension, or they're just it's ridiculous.
Well, they rolled over Luke Fickell last year.
Yeah.
At Wisconsin, and everyone
reacted rationally to that, right?
It was like, why? I mean, you signed him to a contract. They didn't have a good season, so you got to let the contract play out a little bit. I'm not necessarily, I hate being a coach killer one way or the other. I think that it's knee-jerk reaction, but sometimes you do have to make that change. And I don't know where Wisconsin is going to be at financially with an opportunity to make a change, because the Luke Fickell era has not been good in Madison. But then again, you look at what's going on at Penn State. You look at what's happened at LSU. You look at what's happened at Florida. You look at what's happened at Oklahoma State. I mean, all of these longtime coaches, and not even long, in the case of Brian Kelly, wasn't even there very long. Maybe it just wasn't a good fit, but he got there with so much fanfare. He got there, was like, all right, this is going to be the guy who's going to set the tone for the next however many, championship types of seasons. And then they just go ahead and pull the plug. It hasn't worked out in Madison. And it has been extremely disappointing. So what's the answer to it? And I don't know what the answer to it right now is.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think you look at this program and you have to see some spark moving forward the rest of this year. I think the flame is starting to be ignited with some of these young guys. I think that there is some promise in guys like Mason Posa, Cooper Catalano, Eugene Hilton. We'll play back my conversation with him later this week, whether it's tomorrow or Friday. And you start to build around the guys that want to be here to play for this team still. It takes a special group of guys to look at what this year has been, maybe even last year as well, for those that are in their second season, and feel as if this is a program and this is a path they want to continue to work towards. But I think you got to see something this weekend. It's Washington. I get it. They're a good team, but this is your second to last home game. You haven't played well at home in a long time now. So we'll lock in, and I hope for the best.
Coming up a little bit later on in the program as well, we will have top of the hour sports update with Dave Gasper, Bruiser's Bites, coming up in just a little bit as well. And we'll continue to talk about the Bucks, who, did not have a good game last night on the business end of a back-to-back. Too many games, perhaps, in the NBA. Are we ready for Wayne? All right.
There he is.
Let's bring in Wayne Larrivee, the Hall of Fame voice of your Green Bay Packers, joining us here on D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network. Hello, Wayne. How are you today?
Good, guys. How you doing? I'm sorry I'm a little late. I got lost in a bunch of notes I'm doing here.
That's listen. You got Monday Night Football coming up. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. Totally get it. 100%. No worries about that. Let's talk before we get to Philadelphia. Where is this team right now? Because we've seen some really, really highs. First couple of weeks of the season, you knock off the Lions. I'm not sure in hindsight how great that Commanders, not because of the Packers, but because of Washington. It felt like it was a great win at the time. Great second half against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football, and then the Carolina Panthers. The offense just never got going. What do you make of the inconsistencies that we've seen from this team, specifically on offense?
Yeah, it's been perplexing, Doug, and not just game to game. That certainly is concerning, but half to half, they're averaging about 9.5 points a game in the first half of their games, and almost double that, not quite, but almost double that in the second half. I guess this team starts slow. That's kind of their MO, and they crank it up in the second half. Against Carolina, because it was such a low possession game. I mean, there were only 7 possessions for each team in that game. The Packers never really got things on track. And, that was one of those head-scratching kind of games, because certainly that was a game there to be won.
Wayne, I asked you all offseason if Tucker Kraft could potentially be their best player. I think he popped on with us, and at the time it was Mike, and I kept bringing up Tucker Kraft. You saw the early season results there. Now he's out. Where does that change things for you in perspective of this team's ceiling offensively?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Luke Musgrave goes into the spotlight, but he's a different player than Tucker Kraft, much different player. Luke is more of a receiver. He's not necessarily an inline blocker. He's a guy who can get into the seam and make a few plays there. Doesn't have the run after catch ability that Tucker has. Few players do in this league. And, this really changes the complexion of things. It reminds me of 2010 when the Packers lost Jermichael Finley and his 305 receiving yards week 5 of the season. it was a big blow. But Greg Jennings came on to lead the team in receiving yardage, and the Packers went on to win the Super Bowl. Tucker Kraft is a much bigger presence on this team than J. Mike was on that team. So it's going to be harder to overcome this loss for this group of players. But these receivers, I think, and once we get a few people healthy, you take a look at Jaden Reed once he gets back into the mix, and that may be a little bit down the road. But Matthew Golden, I think he's going to get an opportunity to step up and shine. Obviously, Romeo Doubs has been probably their most consistent wide receiver. So it'll be interesting to see how it evolves, but others will have to pick up the slack, and I don't mean just tight ends.
Wayne, with so many of those injuries and losing Tucker Kraft, we had the trade deadline in the NFL yesterday. The Packers didn't do anything there. Did that surprise you? Was there an area that you felt the Packers should have addressed at the trade deadline?
Not really, because they've given up major draft capital already going into this season, 2 first-round picks, and I didn't see them giving up a second or third round draft choice for a tight end or somebody like that. I just thought that they would probably stand pat and try to make a deal if they could, maybe with a lower level type compensation attached to it. But no, I think they've spent heavily on this season. Unfortunately, the injury to Tucker Kraft, that's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. But I was not terribly surprised at all that they didn't make any moves. I was hoping they would, but I wasn't surprised they didn't.
How much of a measuring stick is Monday night against Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think it's a measuring stick. The Eagles have had their problems this season. Doug, they're not the team they were a year ago. They don't make the trades they've been making if they were, okay? They are scrambling defensively to pull things together. They're not rushing the quarterback very well. They got a pass rusher from Miami that should give them a boost. There's no doubt about that. On the corners, they are really questionable outside of Quinyon Mitchell, who's a second-year player and can be beat, although he's been very good this year. They've got issues. Cooper DeJean is a great, I think, slot cover corner. Billy Schmidt and I, when that draft was going on, we were hoping, praying, willing the Packers to take Cooper DeJean in the first round. The Eagles got him
there. I remember,
in the second round. Oh, my gosh. He's such a good player. My goodness, he's a good player. But at any rate, he's fine. But they are trying like heck. They threw out a life preserver to Jair Alexander. And anybody who knows anything about Jair Alexander knows he's probably done. And I don't know if he'll put together a turn back the clock night against the Packers. But the fact is, they had benched him after he started the season, got torched in Buffalo, sat out a couple of games due to a quote-unquote injury. And I have no doubt he's banged up, and he's never been the same since that knee injury that plagued him in Green Bay his last 2 years. And then when he was healthy enough to play, they just decided, we're going in another direction, and they benched him the last 2 games. So the Eagles acquire him, hoping he's got something there. They acquire another cornerback in a trade as well, because they're just struggling to put something together. They're not getting the pass rush pressure from the 4-man rush they got last year, and that made all the difference in the world in their defense a year ago. They've struggled with that this year.
Wayne, no one feels like they want to separate from the pack in the NFC, let alone the entire NFL right now. It feels like there's a bunch of really good teams, but who's great? And we're still trying to find out. Are the Eagles the closest in the NFC, in your opinion, to being that elite team, to being that great group? I know they're defending champs, so maybe it just comes with the territory.
I think they're one of those teams. I think Detroit is the other. I know they've got injuries on the back end at Detroit, but they had more injuries last year, and they went, 14-2 or whatever it was. I still think Detroit's the best team in the NFC. I really do. They've kind of struggled a little bit. And it's hard to duplicate, like whatever record they had, 15-2 or something like that last year. It's hard to duplicate that. And in back-to-back seasons, the Eagles are finding it's hard to duplicate a Super Bowl run. They have the pieces to do it, certainly on offense. And their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, is playing as well as any quarterback I've seen this year. but it's not easy to do it in back-to-back seasons, and that's why the NFL is what it is. Who are the good teams? Who had the great records? The Colts had a great record, 7-1 going into Pittsburgh last week, and the Steelers beat them pretty convincingly. So I kind of agree with those who say, is there a great team out there? Not really, not right now. But I guarantee you by December, there will be a couple of great teams out there.
Wayne, with the kicking situation, what it is, listening to the game on Sunday and hearing Larry's reaction to the missed field goal by McManus, what's your thought on where the Packers go from here with the kicking spot, with McManus struggling and Haversick still there?
Yeah, well, I think Haversick's very good insurance. Obviously McManus has to start making some of those 48, 49, 43 yard field goals. And I just can't. People are saying, is he healthy? I think he's healthy. I don't think the Packers put him on the field if he's not 100% or very close to it. Okay. But I think that maybe the time off, he may have lost his edge. He was so good. He was automatic all through training camp and the first month of the season. Then he got injured. And since he's come back, he's been inconsistent. He's made some long kicks, but he's missed some others that should be, in this day and age, chip shots. Sunday, I will say this about Sunday. That wind was perplexing in the stadium. It was a major factor in the north end zone, a major factor. Matter of fact, the interception thrown in that ball game by Carolina, their coach said the wind influenced that throw. The wind blew that thing off target, and that's where Xavier McKinney made the interception. But by no means was it an easy day to kick. It was much easier kicking to the south end zone uprights. And if I'm not mistaken, that's where every single one of the field goals in the game was made.
And the Packers didn't punt once at all during that game as well.
Isn't that amazing?
13 points, an amazing game. Wayne Larrivee, the Hall of Fame voice of the Packers, joining us here on D.N.D. Wayne, we appreciate the time so much. Appreciate the insights. We'll look forward to two things on Monday night. Of course, your call alongside Larry McCarron in the booth, John Kuhn on the sidelines, and then, of course, Jair Alexander naming himself captain. So we'll look forward to
that'll be really interesting. Will they send him out there?
Whether or not Nick Sirianni sends him out there or not, he might just wind up at midfield as well, knowing
amazing.
His history with that. Great stuff, Wayne. We'll see you on Monday.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. There he goes, Wayne Larrivee, the Hall of Fame voice of your Green Bay Packers on the Packers Radio Network. And, of course, in Milwaukee, a new station for Packers football. Has been on 97.3 The Game. It is now on 95.7 Big FM. So that's if you're trying to find the game, you can find it there. Mm-hmm. You can, of course, find it on the Packers app. You can find it on the TuneIn app. You can find it on the iHeartRadio app within 100 miles.
And all of you who don't have ESPN right now, because YouTube TV like me, Wayne's gonna get a lot of listeners.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think Wayne always gets a lot of listeners.
He does, but there's going to be a boost.
You turn on, you want to see the visuals, of course, but then you turn down that sound. You don't want Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. You can just
that's something great on the MLB.TV app. They do a hell of a job on that. You can just pick your local radio broadcast voices, and put it to the video.
But you always
the way Joe and Troy say Green Bay, it always irked me.
Well, that's the way Mike McCarthy says it too.
Yeah.
If you ever listen to Mike,
it still irks me.
And he was the head coach for 13 years, and he lives. We'll remove the family. We're back in Green Bay. Okay.
Right.
Always good to have you in town, Mac. We appreciate you. All right, hour number 2 coming up straight ahead. It's D.N.D. Doug, Nick, and Dave on the game.
If you missed Drew and KB, you missed out on this.
Today we welcome Steve Poles to the program. Not everybody can say they ran in a sausage race.
The Padres were playing the Brewers, and I was following the Padres around the country. Then I got to know those guys really well, so I remember I followed them up to Milwaukee, and the manager was Bruce Bochy. I had the wildest time with the Padres about a week before that in Miami, and I threw Bruce Bochy's minibar out of his hotel room window and destroyed it, and it caused $467 of damage. So Bruce Bochy sees me, And he says, Poltz, you owe me $467 for a mini bar. And we had a meeting. You're not allowed to stay in the same hotels as us anymore. The traveling secretary banned me from staying in the same hotels.
That's awesome.
So I was in Milwaukee, and that day, Bochy says to me, why don't you come down and sing to the players in the dugout? So I sang this song called 98 Pounder. And then he said, why don't you go out in the field and shag fly balls while Tony Gwynn takes batting practice? So this was like Ferris Bueller's Day Off for me. I went out and I'm sitting there and these security guards come up to me. They go, are you Steve Poltz? And I go, yeah. And they go, oh, they want you to come sit by Jerry Coleman while he calls the game. And Jerry Coleman was the voice of the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Coleman, legendary guy, managed the Padres a little bit and then became the voice of the Padres. So they let me sit by Jerry Coleman while he calls the game.
Oh, that's so cool.
I did that. And then Jerry Coleman was laughing. I had him smiling. He goes, hey, how would you like to sit next to the Uke next inning? So he brings me in. I get to sit by Bob Uecker. I'm sitting there with Uecker. He couldn't have been kinder to me. And then a security guard comes back up. He goes, hey, they want you to run the sausage races in the 7th inning. And I go, are you kidding me?
What a day.
And so this truly was amazing. And Poltz becomes Polish sausage. I go out there, and out of 5 sausages, I took 5th.
Drew and KB are talking sports and stuff every weekday from 2 to 6, right here on The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1970.
Chicago breaks through with their second album, generating 3 top 10 singles, Color My World, 25 or 624, and Make Me Smile. And Simon & Garfunkel released the album Bridge Over Troubled Water. It would win the Grammy for Album of the Year. The single of the same name would also hit number 1.
Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down.
In February of 1970, Paul McCartney files a petition with the court to dissolve the Beatles partnership. James Taylor leaves Apple Records and releases the album Sweet Baby James on Warner Brothers. He has a number 3 single with Fire and Rain and receives major publicity as a leader in the wave of new, more mellow singer-songwriters of the time.
Let it roll all night long.
The Doors get back to the blues with the album Morrison Hotel, which climbs to number 4 on the album charts. In March, Crosby, Stills, and Nash add Neil Young to their lineup and have a number 1 album with Deja Vu, which includes 3 top 40 singles. And New York hard rockers Mountain released their debut Climbing with the single Mississippi Queen.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1970. Coming up.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1975.
In February of 1975, Scottish funk and R&B band The Average White Band released their second album. It goes to number 1 thanks to the number 1 single, Pick Up the Pieces. Linda Ronstadt has a commercial breakthrough with her 5th album, Heart Like a Wheel. The album goes to number 1 and features the number 1 single, You're No Good. Bob Dylan has a number 1 album with Blood on the Tracks. The single Tangled Up in Blue goes to number 31 in the States.
I murdered something underneath my breast. You studied the lines of my face. I must admit, felt a little uneasy when you bent down the top of the laces of my shoes. Tangled up in blue.
Also in March, UK band 10cc have a number 1 hit in the UK with I'm Not in Love. It goes to number 2 in the States. And My Eyes Adored You is a number 1 comeback hit for Frankie Valli, his first since 1967.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1975. Coming up.
I'm Hunter Baumgart with a programming update. Where can you find the games you want to listen to and when? We've got the answers. Coming up tonight, the Badgers women's basketball team hosts Oakland in Madison. That'll tip off at 6:30. You can hear pregame coverage beginning at 6:10 in Madison on 1070 The Game and in Milwaukee on Fox Sports 920 WOKY. You can also hear the Luke Fickell radio show tonight at 7 on 1310 WIBA in Madison. I'm Hunter Baumgart for The Game Radio Network.
What you waiting for? Let's go. Make sure to make us a preset on the iHeartRadio app so you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Wisconsin's home for sports and stuff. We are the Game.
He's very knowledgeable, very intelligent guy, very personable guy.
Here's Dave Gasper.
Well, the Bucks lost last night in Toronto, 128-100. Giannis had 22 points and 8 rebounds on the second night of a back-to-back. Next game for the Bucks is Friday night against the Bulls as they are back at Fiserv Forum. But we've been talking about this, Doug. The back-to-back in the NBA, you could tell the Bucks just had nothing left for them.
They had nothing left. I mean, it takes an inordinate amount of energy to win an NBA game in 2025. And, I know all these old school guys, all these old heads want to talk about load management, how we never did load management or anything like that. For whatever reason, it feels like the game is more difficult. And maybe I'm hallucinating. Maybe I'm projecting. The pace
of play is much more significant now.
Yeah, and I think that takes a toll on these guys. And I also look at the number of playoff games that these players, some of the older ones, have played. You look at LeBron James. I'm going to look it up here in just a second and give you the exact number of how many playoff games he's played in his career, but it's like 4 extra seasons of an 82-game regular season basketball career. So that all of it takes its toll over the course of the year, and it's all cumulative.
Yeah, it does, and it's a long season, and these guys have got to find ways to protect themselves. And it's a long season in hockey as well, as we saw yesterday with the I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was controversy in the Nashville Predators Minnesota Wild game. So it's a 2-1 game heading into the final seconds of the third period. Steven Stamkos of the Predators is able to get a goal in with 0.3 seconds left on the clock.
Okay.
An equalizer to tie it and send it to overtime.
Sure.
Then we go into overtime, and the Wild have a breakaway advantage, and then
Carries ahead. Kaprizov with Johansson driving the net. Faber, Kaprizov, Johansson, and he scores!
They call a goal, but the goalie had pushed the net off its mooring, so this thing was swinging around, and he just kind of flips it into where the goal would be, and the officials call goal. They called it a goal, and the game is over.
Okay, so I didn't see it, so I'm going to ask you to explain this to me slower one more time.
Yeah,
so the goalie intentionally lifted. Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Yeah.
Did the goalie intentionally lift the goal itself off of its moorings to displace it intentionally?
So he skated back on his own, kind of put like the foot back, and his foot hit the post, and it just pushed it off. But like he wasn't pushed into it. It was no one else crashing into it. It was him kind of like sliding back, trying to like make a save, position himself for a save before the next pass.
Sure.
So he's like, okay, the puck's over here. I got to go like get towards the net. And he ends up pushing it off the post. And so it just kind of swings around.
This is ridiculous.
And then
I'm
the pass
looking at it
comes
now.
across to Johansson, his teammate, and he just kind of flips it right in. But the net was already basically spun halfway around.
Okay. What do the hockey rules say about this?
So the hockey rules say that the officials have the discretion to say like, hey, because that took away an imminent scoring opportunity, they have the ability to award a goal.
Okay.
There, and like when because he did end up flipping the puck into where the goal would have been.
Okay.
So
it's a judgment
I
call.
just DM'd it to you, Doug, on X, if you want to check it out.
Thank
but
you.
it is,
it is hard because this is an audio medium, but yes.
Dave is just, it's not just that it was off. It is, he literally shoots where there is no net, just flips it into the air.
Because the goal is just swinging around.
It's not there. It's unavailable for the shot to be taken into any sort of net. It's not just that the net's moving and he puts it into a moving net.
Yeah, no, I see it.
He just puts it into the air and they win the game.
So if this is something that is referee discretion,
I believe so.
The
Nashville Predators unsurprisingly disagree.
No, I get it. So when there is referee discretion, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I understand why Nashville's upset, but I don't know. It seems like it's within the rules because you're right. The goaltender knocked the goal off of its moorings without any provocation other than trying to get in position. And if that's allowed by the rules, that the referees can award a goal. I mean, there's a reason that the player that's in the crease or skating toward the crease, that he knocks it in. He knows that that's not a dead puck. He's standing outside the crease when he does it.
Yeah.
There's a reason that he knocks it in. He knows that it's not dead.
Yeah, the NHL Situation Room upheld the goal because it felt the goaltender caused the net to be displaced before an imminent scoring opportunity, and cited the rule that says, in the event that the goalpost is displaced either deliberately or accidentally by a defending player prior to the puck crossing the goal line between the normal position of the goalpost, the referee may award a goal. In order to award a goal in this situation, the goalpost must have been displaced by the actions of the defending player. The attacking player must have an imminent scoring opportunity prior to the goalpost being displaced, and it must be determined that the puck would have entered the net between the normal position of the goalpost.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah,
I think they got it right.
I think they got it exactly right too.
Yep.
It's kind of like a penalty kick in soccer, where it's just kind of like, okay, like you clearly intentionally like ruined an imminent scoring opportunity.
Well, I would like to see a goal. I would like to see a goalkeeper in soccer displace the net, though.
Yeah, that's gonna be a little bit tougher. That's gonna be a little bit tougher.
No, I mean, there's a reason. There is a reason that the Wild player, I think it's number 30. There's a reason that he played on.
Yeah,
we got it right.
Yeah, Johansson saw. He's like, I'm just gonna flip it right in, and just see what they say, see what they do.
I mean, sports. Every year there's something you never seen. I'm not a huge hockey guy. I've never seen anything like that. Just to flip it. I imagine in soccer somehow the goal.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible. But the goal,
what I said.
It's super windy and the goal blows over.
Sure.
I don't know. Somehow the goal blows over. It
It's
would
not
have
gonna
been a
happen in
goal if the
professional
goal was
soccer,
there.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see that with some of the amateur soccer, for sure. But yeah, just a wild ending to the Wild game.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, again, there's reasons that the players played on. There's a reason that the puck, which bounces off of the outside of the net, and then Johansson, number 90, sorry, not number 30.
Yeah.
That he tapped it back in. Nick has sent it to me. I've seen it probably, I don't know, 30 times
back to back.
And if that's why I asked what the rule is, because I'm not a huge, I mean, I like hockey.
Yeah.
I enjoy the game, but I've never played. I can't skate. I don't know the intricate rules of the game. I enjoy watching it.
It's very fun.
I'm a very casual hockey fan.
Me too.
But I mean, they got it right. I understand why Nashville might be a little bit upset, but sorry, them's the rules.
Yeah, maybe don't displace the net. And again, if you didn't displace the net, that was going to be a goal.
Well, he said, and the rules say accidentally or intentionally.
Yeah. So even if you say it's an accident, which I'm sure it was, but it's
and they reviewed it. They review everything.
Yeah, especially for a call as important as that to end the game. They're going to take a look at it.
Nothing to see here. Sorry.
Yeah. There was no reason.
Sorry, Nashville.
There was no closeness and no reason to review any plays in the Cal State Northridge women's basketball game last night. I don't know if you guys saw this either. They opened their game against Bethesda College on a 72-0 run.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
They scored the first 72 points of the game. Bethesda didn't score until the third quarter, and the final score ended up being 103-13.
Why do we bother with games like these? Why? How did this game get scheduled?
Well,
Bethesda is not even in the NCAA. They're in the NCCAA.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It's really interesting. At the same time as the Ball brothers and LeVar Ball, there was another family, the Newman family. And Julian Newman was this maestro with the basketball. He had crazy handles when he was like 12. His dad is the coach of that Bethesda team.
Okay.
They're just wannabes, and they clearly don't have what it takes. That's why this game got scheduled, because some has-been on YouTube is coaching the team, and they were able to put it together. Yeah, that Newman family has been going through.
Well, Cal State Northridge is a powerhouse in women's basketball.
I mean,
as we all know,
when you think of Northridge.
Yes, Northridge.
When you say Cal State Northridge, I mean, just automatically that pops into your mind.
You think national title contender instantly, every single time. But
sad, sad all around. You got to feel for the players. I mean, you get trounced like that.
Who does this? Who did that benefit? Yeah, who benefits from this?
Yeah, I mean,
the bench players on the good team, like the
or the bad
Isaac
team.
Guards
You know what?
team.
If I'm losing 72-0, I'm probably going to make some wholesale changes if we're losing. What's the worst that could happen?
We lose more. Yeah, It's just incredible. Also, yesterday, the Brewers announced that no surprise, but they have declined the mutual options for Rhys Hoskins and Jose Quintana, and they also declined the club option for William Contreras, but he remains under club control still for another season.
I'm torn on that one.
Don't be worried. They have not cut William Contreras. He's still going to be on the team.
So then he goes to arbitration, or at least he goes through the arbitration process.
Yes.
We talked about this a little bit on yesterday's show. He would have gotten $12 million from the Brewers if they would have picked up the option. Is he not worth $12 million?
His arbitration projections that I saw at MLB Trade Rumors have him at about 11.1 million.
Okay, so again, we're doing this Corbin Burns dance.
Yes, we're doing this dance to save whatever amount of money. Now, I will say I think I think Contreras probably expected this when the Brewers settled with Contreras this past year, because they originally had filed and they ended up settling. They right around the middle. They made Contreras the highest paid first-year arbitration catcher since Buster Posey, who is coming off an MVP season and a World Series championship. And I think they kind of expect, okay, on the back end, this is going to be something that the Brewers, if the money is going to be less than $12 million for his arbitration projections, they're going to decline that, and we're going to go through this process over again. But he got the added security in the front end of that deal.
I hope he gets more than $12 million in the arbitration process.
I hope so too. He deserves it. But the Brewers are very good when it comes to their arbitration projections.
They are
very good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the front office is very, very smart over there.
Yeah.
With the exception of understanding how this is going to affect the human being behind, in this case, the mask.
Yeah. If you take it to a hearing.
Even if you don't, the process still sucks.
Oh, the process 100% sucks, but the worst part is taking it to a hearing.
Yeah,
you can have
that's the nuclear option is taking it.
Yeah, they're going to have the haggling over it for however many weeks. Going into mid-January is when the filing deadline is. They'll probably be haggling over it around then, and hopefully they settle before it comes to a hearing.
So, you probably know the timeline better than I do. Was David Stern still here when the Corbin Burns thing went down, when that all happened, or was he at New York by then?
I believe so. See, Burns was,
because I think it was Stern still. I think it was Stern's last year.
Yeah, it might have been Stern's, or was that Arnold's offseason? Because I think Stearns was still here for that year after he stepped down. He was the
consultant?
Yeah, as a consultant. Let me see here.
Because that's a mistake. I mean, I'm sorry. When we're talking about...
Yeah, that was February 23. So that was the first offseason of Arnold.
Okay.
But Stearns was still here.
Okay. I hope that the Brewers... I don't like Matt Arnold. He's one of the best guys you're ever going to deal with in terms of sports executives. But I hope that experience will inform him moving forward with another.
Well, you already got Cairo
player.
moving forward. I mean, what do you need Contreras for? You got Jefferson Cairo. I mean, they move off these guys when it's the right time.
Well, I think you're going to have another year of Contreras, and then you can look at trading him, because then he's only going to have 1 year left.
Sure.
Until free agency. And that's
a roll of the dice though with
Cairo.
Caro, though. I mean, I know that they're high on him. I get that.
Yeah.
And every great player was a prospect at one point, and I understand that as well. I just like having the certainty of having someone who has as much under his belt as William Contreras has. But then again, we talked about it on yesterday's show too. Catchers, I mean, that you're not a catcher for that long in Major League Baseball anymore.
Yeah, and the DH spot is going to be taken up for the next couple of years in Milwaukee.
Yeah, with Christian Yelich.
So, and they've got they got Andrew Vaughn at first base, but you also have a bunch of others that you've drafted coming up as well. Caro, you haven't seen at the big league level yet. So I think you can see him for a whole year here as the backup to Contreras. And then after that, depending on what he shows and what they see, then maybe you could try and move forward with him as starter, because he is a starting caliber guy. When he's healthy, he is a starting caliber, all-star caliber potential catcher.
Well, everybody is potentially. I mean, we've seen so many guys that have had potential. There's no, obviously there's no guarantees, and you've got to plan for the future. And that position specifically, you look at a guy like Joe Mauer, who caught the early part of his career and then moved away from catcher, and turned himself into a Hall of. I mean, if he stayed at catcher, he would have. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He's already in Cooperstown.
First ballot, yeah.
So I mean, that's.
We don't need to go the Armin Sarian route of thinking Joe Mauer is not a Hall of Famer.
I mean. Factually, he is.
Yes.
Factually, the bust has been carved, and it's hanging on a wall in Cooperstown, New York. So, that having been said, I think that more people would look at Joe Mauer as, well, yeah, of course, he was a lockdown first ballot Hall of Famer because he caught his entire career and still was able to do that offensively. Fact of the matter is, he almost played as many games not at catcher than he did at catcher because most of those games they played at catcher were front loaded in his career.
Yeah, Williams' brother Wilson has already moved to first base.
Yeah.
He's already stopped catching. So, it's a matter of time, yes, but there's also the few, such as like the JT Realmutos of the world, that are able to stick around catching for quite a bit. Could Contreras be that guy? Potentially. I think he certainly has the toughness and the stubbornness to remain behind the plate the entire career.
Realmuto's offensive production is dipped, though. I mean, it just feels.
Well, he's also like 35.
Well, the reality is, if it's at a loss offensively to maintain him at catcher, and you have a viable long-term option there potentially as it stands, time may not suggest he stays at catcher.
But catcher is also one of those positions where you're willing to take a little bit of a hit offensively if you're getting strong defense behind the plate.
Yeah,
that's why Austin Hedges
point.
Still has a job all these years in Major League Baseball, despite hitting $160 his whole career.
That's true. Martin Maldonado until this past year, right?
Yeah, exactly. Martin Maldonado was not a good hitter at all.
Terrible hitter.
Yeah,
but
didn't have Martin Maldonado being talked about on my bingo card today. But
I didn't either. But here we go. I love it.
Championships in stacked lineups where Contreras is probably Milwaukee's second best power bat. That's the issue.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to be offensively viable, at least in their current iteration.
Well. And we did find out yesterday that he did undergo a minor procedure on his finger. So the broken finger, that's been a major question throughout the entirety of the season. When we found out he was dealing with a broken finger, that has now been addressed. He has undergone the surgery, 5 to 6 weeks without baseball activity, but should be back for spring training and ready to go for that. So that should be addressed. So hopefully next year, we don't have to worry about that. He can get off to a great start and just be fantastic offensively once again.
Yeah, I love the fact, though, that Danny Jansen was going to get the exact same amount of money as William Contreras, though, if they would have picked up both of the options. They were both due $12 million next year.
Yeah, both due $12 million. That's why Danny Jansen, we are not picking that up at all. We did not sign this contract. Someone else did.
Yeah.
Because he was a starter at the time when they signed into that kind of deal. So then he comes here. It's like, yeah, no, you're a backup to Contreras who will never come out of the game. So,
yeah, I mean, when Danny Jansen gets here, it's like, okay, so you're in a better position perhaps with the team that you're on. But however, go grab some pine, kid.
Yeah.
And welcome home, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, welcome home. You're not going to play. Cool.
But you get a playoff share.
Yeah, there you go.
It's that.
Yeah. Did he even play in a single playoff game? I don't even think he got a
I don't believe
at-bat.
I don't believe
I don't think he got a single at bat.
Well, it's like Will Smith in the World Series. He caught every inning, including all 18 of that, extra inning game. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to – and listen, it's the World Series. You got all offseason to rest and everything, but my goodness, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of wear and tear.
It's like I think it was Kike Hernandez that was saying, we brought a pencil to the group project and got an A. Like, yeah, we did nothing, but yeah.
Well,
then he tried saying that to Freddie Freeman, like him and Freddie Freeman saying we did nothing and got an A. It's like, no, Freddie Freeman I think did quite a bit actually. If we're being honest,
right.
PK.
Well, Hernandez, he's played in the most career postseason games with the Dodgers, so I mean he's been there a while. Whatever he brings to the team, it works. But yeah, last night, Dancing with the Stars, there were 4 Dodgers in attendance: Dave Roberts, Will Smith, Tyler Glasnow, and Blake Snell with the trophy.
Oh, nice.
I wonder if that's something they were contractually obligated to doing, because it did not look like they were particularly fired up. Maybe they're like, here's $10,000 each of you guys if you show up.
They showed at Jimmy Kimmel too. They were the lead guest on the Kimmel show with the trophy as well. So maybe they're just making the rounds.
Yeah, well, it must be easy because they're out there in LA already to begin with. So everyone's just like, hey, LA. Yeah.
Well, how does that go, Dave?
Hey,
All right, I got to mark that down. That was
exactly
11-19.
11-19. Day.
That's exactly how Randy Newman sounds.
And today is November 5th. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just marking these down.
Okay.
No other reason as to.
Totally. Just, for no other purpose.
All right, still to come. The college football playoff standings are out. How far has the Wisconsin Badgers kind of fallen in this? Because they still have 4 games left. You want to see something. You got to see something. It's been so hard, though, with everything that has gone on in college football this year. And I don't know how the Badgers, I've broken record, I get it. I don't know how they dig themselves out and get themselves back to a point where they're a real contender just to win a game. They haven't won a Big Ten game in over a year. And I don't think anybody would have picked that. But the college football playoff standings are out. And one team that used to be irrelevant in the Big Ten, well, they are irrelevant no more. So is there a lesson there? Probably. But there's a lesson in some other teams that are in the college football playoff as well. So we'll hit that coming up straight ahead. Jim Polzin will join us in the final hour of the program. Another top of the hour update coming up at noon with Dave. Bruiser's Bites at 1. We got a lot to get to here on this Wednesday, November 5th. It's D.N.D, Doug Russell, Nick Bruzowitz, Dave Gasper. Stay with us on the Game Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D will be back in just a moment.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1970.
Don't keep me waiting here. Leave me to
The Beatles released the Phil Spector-produced album Let It Be. It generates 3 number 1 hits, Get Back, Let It Be, and their final number 1, The Long and Winding Road. The Kinks song Lola, about a romantic encounter with a transvestite, makes number 2 UK and number 9 US. In July, the Stooges released their second album on Elektra Records, Fun House. And British band Mungo Jerry are number 1 in the UK, number 3 in the US with the single In the Summertime.
Have a drink, have a drive, go out and see what you can find.
In August, Eric Clapton releases his first solo album and scores a top 20 hit with his cover of J.J. Cale's After Midnight. Neil Diamond scores his first number 1 with Cracklin' Rosie. September of 1970, Neil Young has a top 10 album with After the Gold Rush. War, an anti-war protest song by Edwin Starr, tops the charts.
What is it good for? You tell me. Say it.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1970. Coming up.
Billy and Armin are talking about all of your favorite teams each morning from 6 to 10 on the Game.
920 said, love the content, boys, but can we all agree that Keyshawn Nixon is not a number 1 corner?
Our cornerback unit, Billy, as a whole, might not be the greatest. I don't think we're going to ever sit around saying this was the best cornerback unit, the position group this Packers team ever had. They do battle out there. They did have some moments where we struggled, but also in a league like this where there's a lot of passing, that means there's going to be a lot of completions, and a lot of guys are going to be the recipient of a lot of L's. And the receivers.
You're going to hold a lot, yes, no doubt. You're spot on, Armin, and you could not be more accurate here. And I think corner in the National Football League, I get it. Quarterback is the most important position, toughest position, all the mental stuff that you got to go through. From a physically demanding and emotionally testing and trying position, corner is the hardest position to play in the NFL. Yes. You are going up against and trying to break up the most expensive pairings in professional sports. Despite the sport, they're going to beat you a number of different times. Yeah. So you're going to give up completions, no doubt about it. Now, the one to Roman Wilson, that's a big miss. Like, we can't be letting Roman Wilson get behind us and not know where we are.
Oh, yeah.
That's the issue. But I think on the down in and down out compete factor, like the touchdown to DK Metcalf, what are you supposed to do?
He's a big old boy.
You can find all of the shows in podcast form. Just search No BS on the iHeartRadio app.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
Try to set the night out for you.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to number 2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to number 1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to number 1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
In March of 67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of 67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to number 7 in the U.S., with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. In May, Mitch Ryder hits number 4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967, coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Carlos Santana as he reflects on some of his teachers.
We had good teachers, Miles Davis, B.B. King, Tito Puente, and the people who we learn, whether it's Herbie Hancock or Wayne or Buddy Rich, they don't think too much. You just go with your heart, with a lot of conviction and a lot of trust and a lot of energy, and we don't have time to doubt or second guess or anything like that. That's for somebody else.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Santana and all your favorite artists.
I looked it up. LeBron James, 292 career playoff games. Doing the math, not in my head because math is hard.
Yeah.
292 divided by 82. If he would have played all 82 regular season games, which he normally doesn't, most basketball players don't.
Now with sciatica, you can't.
Sure. That is an extra over 3.5 seasons of 82 game regular season schedules.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot. He has played over 3.5 seasons of just playoff basketball. Playoffs are too long.
Yes, completely agreed. 2 months is far too much
forever.
Well, yeah, but I mean the playoffs themselves, MLB's playoffs are done in a month. NFL's playoffs are done in a month. And NBA's I think NHL's are around a month, 2 months?
NHL's
2 months
are pretty long too. Yeah, they're just as long.
Yeah, but still 2 months for playoffs is ridiculous. Just ridiculous. You got to be able to whittle it down somewhat. Maybe have the first round be a best of 5 or something. Like
57 days is the average for a postseason in the NHL.
Yeah, that's 2 months.
Yeah.
So long. Yeah. I hear you. I think you look at this and you say, first and foremost, congratulations to LeBron James. It's commendable to be able to play that many years and that many postseason games and still only be a few championships behind Michael Jordan.
Wow.
I mean, think about this.
I knew this
He's
was
had
going
so
somewhere.
many bites at the apple, and he's still short. It's incredible. Okay. But the reality is, the NBA playoffs are what the season is sold on. I mean, that's what people are excited about. That's what people want to see. I think there's an argument to be made that, albeit baseball's postseason might be the best, the regular season is the one that people put the most weight into. And I think that's because it is first and foremost at a time at which there really isn't any other sport people care about from June until September. But other than that, playoffs are playoffs. That's what makes the sport special. I'm a sports socialist, as many have highlighted me as. I like other teams winning. I was fired up to see the Thunder win last year. I would have been fine with the Pacers winning. I like when I see new teams do cool things. And that's what happened.
Okay.
The Dodgers losing would have been ideal.
Sure.
I'm not a huge Canada guy, as well established, but that would have been better.
But you would have been really bored in the 1990s, though, because the Bulls kept winning. And, if you're Michael Jordan
I think the thing with the Bulls is family. We're from Chicago. My
Family.
brother people are
That's
Bulls fans.
That's if you're Brian Kelly.
So if it's my team, I might be more satisfied with it. Yeah, I'm very.
I do
loose
love that
with
you admit it, though.
Yeah.
I admire that about you, Nick.
That's also very much a sports socialist thing. Like, yeah, I love seeing everyone get it, but when I get it, I want all of it, and none of you get
Just
anything
give it to
else.
me, right? Like,
Yeah,
I want to
that's
win,
very.
and if
That's
I'm not
very
going to win,
socialist, sports socialist. Of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, you look at it like this, right? Let's just say hypothetically, you take a 10-year block of time. I want my team to be the team that wins the most championships in that 10 block of time. So if my team wins one, I want 9 other teams to win one so that my team is tied for first in championships.
Okay.
That's the issue.
All right.
My teams aren't winning anything. I mean, that's the problem.
So retroactively,
Well,
retroactively, you're not bored by the 1990s, even though you weren't born yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there were 6 championships, famously. 3 and then 3. 3 and then, Michael.
Big fan of Michael Jordan. Big fan of the Bulls.
Sure. Michael Jordan was great. I mean, I got to cover, there were a lot of games at the Bradley Center that before they moved us upstairs, the media used to sit like on the floor. And so I got to see Michael Jordan play, up close and personal for so many of those games. And that's on forever. I'll take it to my grave. One of the highlights of my career, not only watching him play offense, which we all know about, but his defense. He's one of the best defensive players I've ever seen in my life. And that's one of the things that separates him when you talk about who's the greatest basketball player of all time, because it's only one of two. For a while there, they were trying to make Kobe into something that I don't think that he was. Kobe was a great player. Kobe's still a top
5.
Yeah. I mean, no worse ever than a top 10, but I would put him in the top 5.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the millions upon millions of people who've ever picked up a basketball, if you're in the top 5 of somebody who's ever done it, I mean, you're elite.
Yeah.
But the argument of GOAT has always been either LeBron or Michael. And what I think is funny is that neither one of them plays into it. It's like, you guys figure that out. I like that.
Yeah.
Because Mike knows he's the GOAT and LeBron knows he can never win. So they just.
He's won championships with 3 teams.
One of them in the bubble.
Doesn't matter.
So
he won a championship.
Had to switch teams left and right, trying to get a crack at it.
He's
I
played.
get it.
He's played for exactly one more team than Michael Jordan did.
Well, yeah, I guess.
But there was a ring chasing with the super team in Miami. Then he goes back to Cleveland after they get like ring
chasing is at the end of your career, not 5 years in, 6 years in. I mean, that was
okay, but going to build that team with Bosch and D Wade, I mean, that was ring chasing. I mean, they're sitting there going, "We're going to win not 1, not 2, not 3,
That's right.
not 4,
right, but it was 1,
not 5,
it was 1,
not 6,
they
not
won
7,
or they won 2. Yeah, they won 2.
Yeah.
They got to the finals every year.
Yeah,
and he was there for 4 years, and you can call it ring chasing all you want.
And Ray Allen saved him.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, he did.
That Spurs series. I mean, no chance.
And with Michael, I mean, it's not like he didn't have a good supporting cast.
And
I mean,
Mike
he did it all with Scotty, and then he had Horace for the first 3, and then Rodman cleaning up the boards.
Mike was
in the
a
second
benefactor of first and foremost having arguably the greatest coach of all time, and then really strong drafts and talent acquisition in Chicago, bringing in Rodman for that second set of 3. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he's the head.
Jordan,
he was the head of the snake.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think is anybody questioning that. How many?
Scottie Pippen led those teams.
Some people want to say that between their careers, Michael had the best all-time teammate. That Scottie was better than anyone LeBron has ever played with.
Never mind the fact that they can't stand each other now.
Yeah,
maybe.
No, they hate each other.
Well, the problem is Scotty's ex-wife and Mike's son were a thing.
No, it goes deeper than that.
Oh goodness,
it goes way deeper than that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's an argument. I don't dismiss LeBron as the greatest of all time because again, he took 3 teams to an NBA championship. Michael didn't do that. I know he played for 2, but by the end, he was a shell of his former self. I think that he would probably, if he could do it again, not play for the Washington Wizards at the end, but I don't consider it ring chasing necessarily. I mean, they did form a super team, but Shaq and Kobe, that was a super team right there. They had some great players around them, but it was Shaq and Kobe. It wasn't just one of them. Michael Jordan, as you mentioned, he had Dennis Rodman, cleaning up the boards the last 3-peat that he had. A great coach in Phil Jackson who went to LA with Shaq and Kobe as well, racked up a few more rings. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody does it by themselves anymore. LeBron
What if
didn't
Jordan
do it by
won 8 in a
themselves.
row.
You wish?
I mean,
well, but
what's the number that would have made him undisputed? No one could ever touch him. Right?
I don't know.
He
Bill
won-
Russell won more than that, but it was also a lot easier to win championships back then.
There were like 8 teams. It's a little different.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was a lot easier to win a
I
championship.
guess Mike
back then.
played in a smaller pool. How many teams were in the league in the 90s?
I mean, there were
26.
I mean, they've only added a couple since then.
Yeah.
I mean, who was the last expansion team? The Charlotte Bobcats? Was that the last expansion
27
team?
teams in the 1990s.
Yeah.
Just a quick Google search here.
Sure. I mean, they've only added a few teams since
Yeah,
then.
Bobcats in 04 was the last expansion.
Now the Charlotte Hornets. So it wasn't markedly different when Michael played than when LeBron came in.
I mean, there's 3 less teams.
Okay.
The quality of teams are higher then.
Yeah.
LeBron played against a worse set of teams because the player pool is spread out even more. So, I mean, Mike did it in a harder era with tougher teams on the other side.
That's a stretch.
I mean,
that's a stretch.
You're just trying to cape up for your boy LeBron.
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not. I think it's an argument. I just don't think that it's a no-brainer. It's not a no-brainer because people want to dismiss LeBron, but LeBron stands want to dismiss Michael, and you can't do that either. I love them both. I think they're both great players. Listen, there's a reason that there's so much respect between the two of them because they know what each other did.
How about the Michael aspect on NBC this year and what it was kind of talked up to be and what it's turned out to be?
Well, I was skeptical of that from the jump.
Mike sat down for one full-length interview with Mike Tirico, and they're just cutting it up and playing one of them a week. It's incredible. Only
I
the
was
GOAT
skeptical.
could do that.
Like I said, I was skeptical of that from the jump. And what is Michael Jordan? He's not going to commit his time to doing anything that he doesn't want to do. He's got all the money in the world. He's never going to be able to spend it all. He's always going to be considered, if not one, then 1A in NBA history for the rest of his life. He's carved that out and he's earned that for himself. So
until Wemby.
Okay.
I mean, we'll see. No,
Sure.
we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too early to say no for Wemby.
Yeah. Either way, Michael Jordan's got $1 billion, so I don't think he's too worried about it either.
$3.8 billion net worth.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
More money than he'll ever know how to spend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, give some to us if he wants.
He could. That'd be very nice.
I mean, he tried to own a team. What we've also found out is that Michael Jordan is a terrible owner. And he's terrible owner, terrible executive. Found out with the Wizards, found that out with the Charlotte Hornets. Because oftentimes these guys that are the best at what they do on the court, they can't understand why everyone isn't as great as they were.
Yeah. It's the greatest players do not make the greatest coaches.
No.
Or executives.
Or owners.
Yeah, or owners. Sometimes they can.
Sometimes.
Or that very good.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're not.
Or commentators, perhaps.
Or commentators.
Yeah.
There's an article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Zach Bellman wrote it. Former intern of mine, by the way.
Nice.
Who's done very well for himself. But it is about Wisconsin high school coaches and their relationships with Luke Fickell. It's not a hatchet job. I didn't think so. I thought it was fair. They are anonymous coaches, so they are able to speak freely without any repercussions, which I appreciate. Some of it's good, some of it's not great. I'm going to spin through some of this when we come back as well. Also, some of your messages on the talk and text line coming through as well. 877-794-1973. We will have some time for those as well. So if you've got any thoughts on, well, if you want to weigh in on the GOAT, I mean, that's one of those timeless sports topics that will probably be argued until the end of sports radio, whenever that is. Or the end of sports audio.
Soon, apparently.
Well, depends on where you are, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess.
The NicoletLaw.com talking text line 877-794-1973. It's D.N.D. Doug, Nick, and Dave on the game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1975.
In June of 75, the Bee Gees released the LP Main Course, featuring a more dance-oriented sound, and delivered 3 hit singles, including the number 1 Jive Talkin'. In July, Fleetwood Mac shake things up. They add Americans Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks to the lineup and have a number 1 album. And Wings released the album Venus and Mars, which goes to number 1. Their U.S. tour features Paul McCartney's first live appearance in the U.S. since 1966.
Love is fine for all we know. For all we know, our love will grow. That's what the man said. Don't you listen to what the man said. He said.
In August of 75, the Eagles' 4th album goes to number 1 and has 3 top 5 singles, including the number 1 title track, One of These Nights. And the boss, Bruce Springsteen, is featured on the cover of Time magazine, and Born to Run becomes his breakthrough album, reaching number 3 in the U.S.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1975. Coming up.
Drew and KB are talking sports and stuff every weekday from 2 to 6.
Talking to Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV. The prism that you're looking through the secondary is like, well, if they suck against these guys, just wait till they play Justin Jefferson. Well, who's throwing at Justin Jefferson? Like, who's left? Okay, in theory, those guys.
Detroit. It's Detroit. Here's the thing. Here's where this is driving all of this, Drew. And I know you're not quite the creature of the internet that I am. So let me school you here. What everyone is worried about in Packers fandom is it's going to be Thursday, Thanksgiving morning. You've got the sides, you've got the turkey, you got the family. You're all gathered around the TV to watch the Green Bay Packers take on the Detroit Lions in Detroit, where Detroit is a much better football team, and they have a number of weapons, and they complete a bunch of passes, and they score touchdowns, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's doing a stupid headstand, right? And then all 10 days until the next game, Lions fans are going to be in your Twitter mentions as a Packers fan, giving you holy hell. And Packers fans are going to be like, I told you we needed other corners. I knew we were going to get burned, blah, 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 blah. That is where this is all coming from.
I could see it. Micah Parsons might have a word on that, influencing that matchup.
You think?
As well, which is why they got him.
You can find all of the shows in podcast form. Just search Drew and KB on the iHeartRadio app.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Bryan Adams songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Run to You.
When it gets too much, I need to feel your touch. I'm gonna run to you. I'm gonna run to you. 'Cause when the feeling's right, I'm gonna run all night. I'm gonna run to you.
Number 2, Heaven.
Baby, you're all that I want. When you're lying here in my arms, I'm finding it hard to believe we're in heaven.
Number 1, Summer of '69.
Standing on your mama's porch, you told me that it lasts forever. Oh, when you held my hand, I knew that it was now or never. Those were the best days of my life.
Hear more from Bryan Adams and similar artists now. Search for Bryan Adams on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1975.
In November, Queen's 4th album is a worldwide smash with the single Bohemian Rhapsody. It hits number 1 in the UK and number 4 in the US. Fast forward to December, Bob Marley and the Wailers released their live album recorded at 2 concerts in London in July. And Paul Simon has a number 1 album with Still Crazy After All These Years. The album produces 4 top 10 hits.
Hop on the bus, cause you don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key and get yourself free.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1975. Coming up.
Like we always do with this time. I go for mine, I get to shine. Now throw your hands up in the sky. Go for mine, I get to shine.
It's D.N.D, Doug, Nick, and Dave on this Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. Had to put on the reading glasses for this one. How you know you're getting older. Zach Bellman in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel writes an interesting article. Like I said, I don't consider it a hatchet job or anything like that, but the title is High School Football Coaches in the Milwaukee Area Describe Recruiting Under Badgers Coach Luke Fickell. And Zach goes on to write, the 2025 Badgers football roster includes 35 athletes who hail from a Wisconsin hometown. In 2021, the last full season under Paul Chryst before he was fired, the number was 48, so that's 13 fewer. That 2021 roster also included notable future NFL players from Wisconsin, including Braylon Allen, Chimere Dike, Hunter Wohler, and Jake Ferguson. Dike later transferred to Florida in December of 2023, nearly a year after Fickell's hire in November of 2022. All right, so the conceit of this is they reached out to Milwaukee area football coaches. They responded with their thoughts. These responses have not been edited aside from the removal of a specific recruit who may have been identified as a respondent. These are just some of them. Get your thoughts on this. We'll start with you, Nick. We were his very first stop on his first day out as the new Badgers head coach. I haven't seen him since that day. That was one coach. Another one. Very good. Another coach. Non-existent. I do have relationships with running backs coach Devon Spalding and offensive line coach AJ Blazik. Another coach. Open line of communication with coaches as needed. Coach Spalding and Coach Blazik have been responsive and engaging to work with. Another coach writes, it's been pretty good. All of the coaches who have visited have been really warm and welcoming. I feel good about most of the personal relationships that I have formed with the assistant coaches who have visited and are in this recruiting area. Another coach writes, they were very active in recruiting, recruits are name redacted, who's being recruited by the previous staff. Since then, they've checked in, but it doesn't feel as regular as previous staffs. That could partly be due to changes in rules. Another coach, little to no relationship. Another coach, never spoke or met him. Another coach, they've made a solid effort to get coaches in our building quite a bit. I also feel like I can call or text any of them and they will get back to me right away. I do think it helps. We are a suburban school and typically have some decent players. Another coach, I have a pretty solid relationship with the receivers coach, Jordan Reed, but outside of him, I haven't heard from them. Another coach, limited, visited when he first hired. Next coach, honestly, it isn't popular, but it was better than the previous staff. It can be weird. I'm not sure they trust what we say or the state talent, but they've come around and have been in contact. And the final coach that responded, from afar as the paying customers in the Camp Randall stand. So pretty much non-existent there. Any of that surprise? We'll start with you, Nick.
I'm assuming there's nuance to it. The guys that feel like relationships have been built are probably guys who have players that were on the Badgers' radars. They've changed their ideology here now 2 times over offensively. I would love for every one of those guys to say great relationship, because I do think that there's value in developing relationships with your homegrown talent. I don't think that today college football looks the same as when Paul Chryst was in and his staff was here in Madison. I think that the game itself has changed drastically. There's a great shift from recruiting high school talent to recruiting other people's already established college talent. And I think that things are spread in different ways. I don't mean to be an apologist for Luke Fickell. I have been more Fickell positive than most. I think that part of my human condition is sometimes loyalty to a fault. I see what the vision was, what the belief was, and what they thought they could get here with Luke Fickell. I'm not ready to quit on it. And so when you hear guys that are maybe hesitant to be positive and praise this staff, for me, I still look at it and hope that that's because there's some significant rationale to it, not just laziness or a lack of interest in Wisconsin kids. But yeah, you see the spectrum there. Some guys are happy, some guys aren't. Assistant coaches might be doing a better job than the head coach, which I think might make sense if there's a specific position they're looking to get from this high school. But there's a reason why people are unhappy and high school kids here in this state are not flocking to become a Badger, and it might be because of a lack of what they perceive to be interest from this program.
Dave?
Yeah, I think when Fickle first got hired, he mentioned the 300-mile radius around campus that they wanted to largely recruit in. Then, maybe expand a little bit beyond that, but largely in that 300-mile radius. And it seems like over the last couple of years that's just kind of gone away. Like the 300-mile radius, they're not quite as worried about getting the guys closer to campus. They're going out there getting guys from Florida, from New Mexico, from wherever else across the country that they want to look. And it's not as much of the local guys. I just saw this the other day from Travis Wilson, one of the leading high school football, high school sports guys out there, that Madison Memorial senior offensive lineman Beckett Schreiber committed to Minnesota.
Yeah.
He goes to Madison Memorial and he committed to Minnesota. So, 3-star, looked like Wisconsin never offered him from the public recruiting sites that I've seen. And also he put out there commitments from Wisconsin high school scholarship players to Minnesota, 4 of them this year. Commitments from Wisconsin high school players to Indiana, 2 of them this year. Commitments from Wisconsin high school scholarship players to Wisconsin, 1.
Yeah.
Just 1.
The 2 that really stick out to me are the 2 offensive linemen. Billy Schrouth from Campbellsport, went to St. Mary's Springs in Fond du Lac. He went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
That one hurts. That's one you got to keep. Sorry.
Yeah. Is that Bob Bostad over there, or is he at a different?
I think it might have been Bostad. I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't want to put that on anyone, but Billy Schrouth you got to keep, and the other one you got to keep is Carson Hintzman.
Yeah.
From St. Croix. He went to Ohio State. Same recruiting class, 2022. Those are the 2 you got to keep. You got to keep those guys. And recruiting hasn't been very good. Paul Christ wasn't a great recruiter, as we know. He left
9 months.
He left the cupboard bare. Yeah, 9 months there wasn't anybody in the recruiting office. So this isn't a knock on Fickle. It's as much a knock on Christ as it is. That's what got Christ fired, is the fact that there wasn't a plan to keep guys like Carson Hintzman and Billy Schrouth in state. These are guys that be playing on Sunday. And you have to keep these guys in the state of Wisconsin. That's the identity of Wisconsin football. Homegrown offensive linemen that don't go to Notre Dame or Ohio State. To me, that's when I look at the erosion of the Wisconsin football program. That's the only way to put it. When I look at the erosion of the Wisconsin football program, those are the 2 names. And they're not sexy names, but those are the 2 that stick out to me. Should you have tried to keep Chimere Dike? Yeah, probably. He's making money on Sunday now.
Yeah.
4th round draft choice. First pick of the 4th round.
Punt return for a touchdown, I believe.
Punt return for a touchdown. I mean, these are guys that, you had DK. You got to keep these guys.
You're operating under the assumption that Wisconsin didn't try to keep DK. We don't know what transpired there, what happened, and why he left. Florida might have said, this is what we're willing to offer you. And Wisconsin might have said, we can't offer that. You can't just say Wisconsin let these guys leave. I get it, though. I'm an apologist a little bit for this program, right? I'm an alum. I think highly of Wisconsin football. I see it as a program that is currently in a lull, but not fractured or eroded. I want to see a healthy quarterback play. I think that would be valuable.
That would help, but also the anchor of this program has been the offensive line. I mean, that has been tried and true. Wisconsin is great at offensive linemen. And as Doug pointed out, when you lose some of those top in-state offensive linemen, when that's what you're known for, and you lose them to Notre Dame and Ohio State, it's a bad sign.
Here's what I respect more about the University of, I respect the university immensely. I think it's a world-class university in a world-class city. Madison, Wisconsin. You live in Madison, Wisconsin. I mean, you're standing on third base right there. But this program has eroded.
No.
Well, Dan and West Bend said
wrong.
that he's acquaintances with Billy's father, one of those recruits you just mentioned. Wisconsin couldn't afford him.
Well, and then they need to afford him then.
Yeah.
Then
that's another problem.
That's another problem. That's when you got to step up. That's part of the equation. Halfway home, 2 hours to go on D.N.D.
Home is on
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
I'm Hunter Baumgart with a programming update. Where can you find the games you want to listen to and when? We've got the answers. Coming up tonight, the Badgers women's basketball team hosts Oakland in Madison. That'll tip off at 6:30. You can hear pregame coverage beginning at 6:10 in Madison on 1070 The Game and in Milwaukee on Fox Sports 920 WOKY. You can also hear the Luke Fickell radio show tonight at 7 on 1310 WIBA in Madison. I'm Hunter Baumgart for The Game Radio Network.
If you missed no BS, you missed out on this.
How much emotion was in that game last week in Pennsylvania against the Pittsburgh Steelers? How much the young team put into playing and being up and being ready for that game, and how much emotion went into that victory and a 2-touchdown win Sunday Night Football. It was a predictable spot for emotion to not be able to rise to that occasion. That's a great learning lesson in the NFL. And even though us as fans and feel like, well, you should have learned that lesson in 2023 when you went to New York and got DeVitoed, right? Because we think of beating Detroit, beating Kansas City, Thanksgiving night, Sunday Night Football at home, maybe 2 best wins that Jordan Love has had as a starter.
Sure.
Then you go on Monday Night Football and lose to the Giants, right? Being able to follow up those highly emotional victories with another great performance, that's something you got to learn. That's the consistency part of it. Again, they are one of the youngest teams in pro football. You're not using it as an excuse or just an explanation or a statement, but you're learning year in and year out how to win.
Billy and Armin are talking about all of your favorite teams each morning from 6 to 10 on The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1977.
In February of 77, 60s band leader Manfred Mann has a new band and scores a U.S. #1 hit with a cover of Bruce Springsteen's song Blinded by the Light. In March, Foreigner released their debut album. It goes to #4 in the U.S., driven by 2 top 10 singles, Cold as Ice and Feels Like the First Time. Philadelphia blue-eyed soul duo Hall & Oates have their first U.S. #1 with Rich Girl from their 5th album, Bigger Than the Both of Us. Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors is released. It's their second #1 album in a row in the U.S., dominating the charts at #1 for 31 weeks. It spawns 4 top 10 singles, including the #1 Dreams.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1977. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1969.
Low-budget film Easy Rider captures the public imagination with a soundtrack by Steppenwolf, the Byrds, and the Electric Prunes. The Woodstock Music and Art Fair is held August 15th through 18th on Max Yasgur's farm in Bethel. 32 of the biggest bands of the day played to a crowd estimated at 500,000. The event is later released as a movie and album. And with the boost from their appearance at Woodstock, San Francisco band Santana hits the top 10 with their debut album, Evil Ways. The festival undoubtedly immortalized Jimi Hendrix and ushered in the era of large rock concerts and arena rock bands. Also in October, Led Zeppelin have their only U.S. top 10 hit when Whole Lotta Love reaches #4.
I'm gonna give you my love. I'm gonna give you my love. Oh, whole lot of love.
The Allman Brothers Band released their debut album on Capricorn Records to good reviews but limited sales. And 7 years after his last #1, Elvis Presley tops the charts with Suspicious Minds.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1969. Coming up.
I'm Jason Flom, founding board member of the Innocence Project, and my new podcast is Wrongful Conviction, available on iHeartRadio. On Wrongful Conviction, I interview a different exoneree every week and help them to tell their incredible stories of tragedy and triumph against impossible odds. You've got to hear it to believe it. Wrongful Conviction from iHeart Studios, available now on iHeartRadio.
Listen to us live 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and watch our shows each weekday on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We are the game.
He's very knowledgeable, very intelligent guy, very personable guy.
Here's Dave Gasper.
Well, the Bucks lost last night in Toronto, 128-100, but there were some positives.
Back to Ajax, 8 to shoot. Back to Sears, three-pointer on the way. Mark Sears has his first three-pointer of his NBA career.
This young man. Mark Sears getting on the board with his first three-pointer.
Great.
From the Alabama Crimson Tide, he comes in and, maybe
from
he
the
can,
Ohio Bobcats to the Alabama Crimson
Yeah.
Tide to the Milwaukee Bucks.
That was a good pickup. I know he wasn't drafted, and he was somebody that the Bucks kind of picked up, but I'm surprised he was out there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, when you're down by 30 in the fourth quarter, throw him out there. Why not?
Sure.
Second end of a back-to-back, you need someone to play. You don't need Giannis out there, but
Was Thanasis active last night?
That's a great question.
Did he play at all? Probably should have.
Probably should have.
You know, when things are getting out of control, you know what you need? You need a little shot of Thanasis.
Yeah, you do.
He's the energy guy. I have no problem with Thanasis
Bull in
being
a
there.
China shop, when he's
Right.
out there on the court.
He's like a horse in a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a horse in a hospital. Great pull, Doug.
Thank you.
The
John Mulaneyism. Go find him on the
yeah.
YouTubes.
It does not look like Thanasis or Alex Antetokounmpo got into the game
I
last
think
night.
Alex is with the team. He's with the Herd, isn't he?
I don't know. But either way,
Hanging out with Johnny
signed
Davis.
him.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Johnny Davis.
There we go. Yeah. And
Listen, there's a lot of fun things to do in Oshkosh. People just have to realize it.
Yeah.
Oshkosh,
exactly.
gateway to the world. Come on now.
Yeah, exactly.
How many
Yeah.
of those guys do you think live in Oshkosh?
Well, they got to live somewhere, right?
They probably got an apartment or.
I hope they have
condo
better
or
off-campus
something.
housing than I did.
Probably.
Listen, you're never going to find anyone who has more love for Oshkosh than I do. But some of the off-campus housing there, little sus.
Little sketchy.
Yeah. I believe me. 6 of the best years of my life spent in Oshkosh. However,
6. I'm not,
I stayed there after I graduated.
Oh, okay.
I still was
Thank
working. I
goodness.
was still working in town. I'm not
7 of the
doctor.
greatest years of my life getting my undergrad.
A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
They're called
They're called doctors.
Right. No. I was still working at when I graduated. I was working at KFIZ Radio in Fond du Lac. So shout out to KFIZ.
Yeah. Coming up to the next sequel to Tommy Boy, it's Dougie Boy.
They're called doctors.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see how KFIZ's doing these days.
No, they're hanging out with our friend Chuck
Owned
Freeman,
by
I believe.
Mountain Dog Media.
Yep. That's it's Randy Hopper. He's the owner.
Yeah.
He can call it whatever he wants. It's Randy Hopper and our friend Chandra Lynn. She works at their FM station there.
Yeah.
Sean
He's there and Chuck Freeman. Oh my goodness.
And Chuck Freeman and Sean Kaiser's the program director at KFIZ. He was the 16-year-old kid mowing the grass when I worked there.
Nice.
Now he's the program director.
Oh man, what a
day
rags
to
to
be
riches
alive.
story.
What a trajectory.
Yeah.
Shout out Sean Kaiser.
Yeah, who would have thought? It's like, yeah, you're mowing the lawn right now, but you're going to be running.
I saw him at the
Not
W.
Deshaun Kaiser.
Not Deshaun Kaiser. Yeah, just Sean Kaiser. I saw him at the WBA Awards a couple of years ago, and he looks exactly the same as he did when he was 16, except for the fact that his hair is gray now. Other than that
minor detail.
But seriously though, other than that, I don't look anything like I did 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Sean looks exactly the same except for a little bit of
I don't
gray.
look anything like I did 25 years ago either.
Same. Well, yeah, let's see. There you go.
Yeah.
I would say that probably is the same of Nick as well.
Probably. I wasn't alive. So.
That was kind of the joke.
That's the point. Yes.
So I look exactly, but also nothing like it because
Were you a zygote yet, or were you not even? We're not even there yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, so an auction house has collected.
Go back to your health.
I was like
class kids.
I was like, man. Now I'm thinking here. I was like 8 months in the womb. I mean, my birthday's next month, so I was pretty much almost here.
Oh, you're almost cooked. Okay,
Almost. Yeah. Just a few more minutes.
Half
in the oven.
baked.
Still are.
No, that would come
That's
later.
right. Came out a little raw.
As we all did.
SCP Auctions has collected 2 World Series home run balls from a father and son duo that say that they caught both the Miguel Rojas and the Will Smith home run late in Game 7 of the World Series. They caught both of them, father and son, and they have now put it up for auction, and they are expecting several $100,000 for those balls, for those baseballs to go for.
Oh, I wish them luck.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Got the final pitch for the 2024 World Series sold for over $400,000. So
Listen, it depends on what your level of fandom is and how much disposable income you've got. I mean, there was for a while there, all those balls from the 1998 home run chase between Sosa and McGuire, those were going for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, strike while the iron's hot.
Sure. And don't hang on to them because the value is only going to go down probably.
Especially when you're a Blue Jays fan. It's like, oh, these are the baseballs that crushed my hopes and dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'm going to sell them and fund my hopes and dreams.
Of course.
So,
yeah, I mean, good for them. Of course you would sell it. I
don't want to keep that.
No, I mean, the whoever caught the Pete Alonso home run from last year, I hope you sold it to a Mets fan who overpaid for it.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they did with it, but
Did anyone catch that?
I don't know.
Did it go back on? I don't know. I blacked out at that moment.
I didn't know if it landed in the bullpens there, right?
No, the bullpen. So he hit it into like the beer zone area.
Yeah. That's my bad.
So.
Yeah, and kind of bounced around. I don't know if it bounced back on the field or what happened to it, but yeah, either way, I would not want that either. The college football playoff rankings came out yesterday for the first time this season. Ohio State number 1, big shocker there.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana at 2, Texas A&M at 3, Alabama at 4. Those are the 4 teams that will have the quote-unquote bye in the first round of the playoff. And the final 2 spots go to Virginia and Memphis for the top-ranked ACC team and the Group of 5 squad. The first 2 teams out, Texas and Oklahoma. The Red River rivalry just on the outskirts looking in.
It's amazing how just a few years can change things, and the paradigm shift has changed things in college football, right? Because just 2 years ago, Indiana, for example, the last year under Tom Allen, they were 1-8 in conference, 3-9 overall. The year prior to that, they were 2-7 in conference. The year prior to that, 2021, they were 0-9. Now they had it now during the weird 2020 year where time was a flat circle and down was up and up was down. They were 6-1. The year before that, they were 5-4. So they were at least respectable. But the years prior to that, conference records for Indiana: 2-7, 2-7, 4-5, 2-6, 1-7, 3-5, 2-6, 0-8, 1-7, 1-7, 1-7, going back to 2008.
They were the doormat of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Before that, 3-5, 3-5. Before that, 1-7, 1-7, going back to Jerry DiNardo in 2004. 1-7, 1-7, going back to the turn of the century. 2-6 in the year 2000 under Cam Cameron. Indiana was
a basketball school.
Yeah, I mean, they were
the basketball.
They were for a while, yeah. This was a team that was so bad you forgot they even had a program.
Yeah.
Because they were terrible. I mean, we wouldn't say irrelevant. I'd say Purdue is irrelevant because they, I think, kind of fancy themselves as a school that's done some things in football over the years. Hey, we had Drew Brees once.
Yeah.
Indiana, who's the best Indiana football? Antoine Randall L. That's the only one that comes to mind.
Michael Penix Jr.
But
Chris Godwin.
Did he make his name? Did Michael Penix Jr. make his name for himself at Indiana, or did he do it somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I also
perhaps out west.
I biffed on the Godwin. He was a Penn State guy for whatever reason. I think he was. Yeah, it's a good point.
You know, you turn. It's
they recruited him to Indiana.
You could turn that thing around. Yeah, I played at Indiana. Then he went to Washington.
Yeah. Tevin Coleman, the running back.
Sure.
Daryl
Thompson, former Packer. Sure.
Tracy Porter.
Okay. So it's few and far between is what we're saying, guys that played on Sunday. And this was a terrible team for a long time. You bring in the right coach in Kurt Cignetti. They go from 1-8 in 2023 under Tom Allen to 8-1 the next year in conference. And now they're the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
That's investment. That is recruiting. that is, yeah, you got to pay your players. They have figured it out. I don't know. Listen, talk to me in 5 years. Maybe Mark Cuban's money will have run out. But that's what it takes to compete right now in big-time college football. And that's the biggest disappointment that I have with Wisconsin, is that right now they are letting Indiana pants them in football.
Yeah. It's a Indiana. Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers how much this has changed, and the money is such a major aspect of it too, with NIL, with the transfer portal, with all that, because you can just kind of throw the money at the program, and if you're able to spend it wisely, you can build together pretty easily a top program like this. So it's so incredible what they've done, and if you're able to do it for I think a long enough amount of time, you can put yourself into that kind of powerhouse status where it's almost on cruise control in terms of having that money and getting those recruits wanting to come to you.
That's Ohio State.
Yeah, that's Ohio State, where they've just been so good for so long, regardless of whatever money. It's like, we're Ohio State. The 5-star recruits come to us. They want to play for us. It's not us having to go search to them and convince them to come to us.
But
they
still do.
They still do.
And they haven't gotten complacent. Listen, I married into an Ohio State family. I've got no love for Ohio State. I, spit on their house, curse on their name. However, can't help but respect what they do.
Oh yeah.
If you're a college football fan, and whether it's Alabama, whether it's Ohio State, whether it's, Oregon, to a certain extent, they've dumped a lot of money into the program, but they're still looking for the same kind of success that certainly Alabama has had. Clemson for a while, but Dabo's,
Dabo's not adapted.
He has not adapted at all. And it's cost them, right? Indiana has adapted probably better, and maybe they're an extreme example, but they are an example of a program that was as dead as you could possibly be, as irrelevant as you could possibly be, the doormat of college football for as long. Vanderbilt's another one. Vanderbilt's figured it out. Vanderbilt was the doormat of the SEC for decades.
They got cash.
Yeah.
Right.
Nick Saban famously, always talk trash about Vanderbilt, how it's just like,
and rightfully so.
Yeah, because they were bad.
So I would say that at least for Nashville, for Vanderbilt, they have Nashville that they can draw from.
Yeah.
You want to play in Bloomington, Indiana? You know what's in Bloomington, Indiana?
Nothing.
Exactly. What are you gonna say, Nick?
Murder. I don't know.
Murder.
What?
I'm trying everything I can for those out there.
Murder.
I'm trying to dissuade people from going there. Okay. What am I supposed to say?
Well, listen, like I said before, if you are in Madison, Wisconsin, if you get to live in Madison, Wisconsin, you got the natural beauty that's there, the lakes, recreation. It's one of the most livable mid-sized cities in the entire country. I think Madison, Wisconsin, I'm trying to find a downside. You got all 4 seasons. Maybe you don't like winter, fine, but you're still going to get that in Bloomington, Indiana without anything else. We were besmirching, or at least Armin was, Oklahoma City during the NBA playoffs. That's kind of how I am with Bloomington, Indiana. It's like, okay, I'm sure the campus is nice, but you're not close to anything. Maybe you can get to Indianapolis in a couple hours, I suppose.
Yeah. When I look up what it's known for, like one of the early things that Google here mentions is their limestone architecture and its early history of quarrying.
Oh,
so they got quarries around there. That's what they're known for.
It's a beautiful city.
I'm not. It's like Champaign, Illinois.
Yeah,
it's nothing
better than some.
And Cowtown, Urbana.
Yeah, I like. I can't find. It's not like it's Gary, Indiana.
The armpit of America.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. I was hoping Bloomington and Gary were similar. It just doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, Bloomington's much more rural. It's much more kind of in the southern part of the state. Gary, Indiana's, kind of literally, if you look at the state itself, it's kind of in the armpit of what you consider it to be.
It smells like it too.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. But there's no advantage to go. There's nothing to draw anyone to Bloomington, Indiana, except for the fact that right now the football team is on an upswing because there's been an infusion of money in cash. There's been an infusion of investment into the program. And if you would have said 5 years ago that Indiana would be one of the best teams, college football teams in the country, and Wisconsin would be, quite honestly, one of the worst, I would have had you fitted for a straitjacket. But here we are.
Yeah, here we are. I saw like The Athletic does these like rankings of like all 136 like Division I FBS programs, and Wisconsin is, I mean, they're down like 95th in some, which I thought, could be a little bit lower. And I'm like, okay, who's kind of down the lowest? Who's at the bottom here? 0-8 Sam Houston with their head coach
Phil
Longo. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is where we are. I mean, and if anybody at the university gets mad at me, you haven't won you haven't won a Big Ten game in a year.
Play better.
I mean, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah. It's, I mean, you're as one of my favorite football coaches, Bob Green, once said, we're like the kid playing second French horn in the school band. Got to play better.
Sure. You have to be competitive.
Yeah. Play better. I mean,
they are defensively competitive.
What about offensively?
Their offense is playing. I didn't realize their offense was playing in these games. I thought it was just their defense.
Yeah, well,
offense has been anemic, terrible. Find synonyms. It's horrendous, and it's not going to get better. And that's the issue, right? I mean, you just got to hope that there's some spark here the rest of the way. I'm crossing my fingers. We see Carter Smith at least, so we can be intrigued by the offense. Gideon Atuka going to get more shots now with Dylan Jones certainly done for the year. Dupree banged up. Yeah, the offense has been bad, very, very bad. And they're going to face some pretty good teams here coming up, Washington, Indiana, and Illinois. So we'll see if it gets better soon. Crossing my fingers that there's a win on the board and maybe, just maybe, a trophy game against Minnesota.
I want to be shut up by the Wisconsin Badgers football program more than I can even put into words. Shut me up. Make me feel like your program is going in the right direction. Give me some hope. But again, you haven't won I keep saying play. You haven't won a Big Ten conference game in a year.
Yeah, and you don't have any easy ones coming up here either, because everyone else around the Big Ten has gotten themselves better. That they have just simply improved. I mean, Washington looks far better this year than they did last year. Indiana, as we've mentioned, has improved. Minnesota has gotten the better of Wisconsin in this rivalry a lot more often in recent years. So, I mean, it's going to be a struggle for them. I mean, Maryland took it to Wisconsin. Maryland is another one where you just kind of look at them. It's like,
how do you lose by 2 scores plus? How do you lose by 17 points at home to Maryland?
Well,
it's Maryland. How do you get shut out 37-0 at home against Iowa?
Close.
Yeah. Iowa can't score. They're famously known for it with their horrendous offense, but they put up 37.
He game planned for Billy Edwards in that Maryland game too, and he got hurt instantly. That was terrible coaching, poor game planning, and it didn't work out. Maryland now looks a lot worse than it did at the moment. Maryland was a good team to start the year. Now they've lost a bunch of games.
Oh, so they're bad like we all expected them to be. Okay.
Yeah. I just think you look at October, and all 4 of those games, Wisconsin was expected to lose coming into the year. I think a lot of people said you look at Iowa and you hope that they can pull one off there. They lost them all. It's just how they lost them that makes people feel like, okay, this is not what we thought it would be.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I didn't think they were going to win at Michigan. Didn't think they were going to. Didn't think they were going to win, not a non-conference game, but I didn't think they were going to win at Alabama. I did think that going into the season, they were going to beat Iowa. Didn't think they were going to beat Ohio State, and they didn't. I didn't think they were going to beat Oregon, and they didn't. I expected them at the beginning of the season to beat Washington. I expected them at the beginning of the season to, at home, beat Illinois, and I expected them at the beginning of the season to win at Minnesota. That was my expectations for this team at the beginning of the season. I just need a win.
Yeah.
There's 4 games. I need to see a win.
They haven't won since Middle Tennessee State, which is also like 1-7 on the season, and they are just one of the 5 worst teams in Division I college football. And you just wonder, and you just kind of think of that what if Billy Edwards had been healthy the whole season, what this offense could have looked like if they could have, put together some wins in a couple of these games, or at least made them close or competitive, where we'd feel a little bit better about where this team is at. And we haven't been able to see it this entire time. And all we've really had are 2.5 drives of Billy Edwards. And even then, those 2.5 drives, I mean, they only got 3 points. They only got a field goal out of them. So it's not like
he didn't finish the one that they got the field goal on.
Okay, so then 0 points.
He got hurt, and Danny O'Neal came in, if I'm not mistaken. But
yeah. So then 0 points. That's even worse.
Yeah, and I don't know what's going on with Danny. I wonder if he's just kind of holding in, refusing to play. Hunter Simmons wasn't good enough.
Maybe
to play
he's
at
trying to
lower
stretch
level.
his legs a little bit longer so he can actually see above his offensive line.
Come on.
I mean,
low blow.
Maybe
it's.
Remember, I'm trying to keep this above board. Let's be fair.
I'm tired of seeing passes deflected though at the line like that.
Wayne in Nash Vegas writes, who is Wisconsin's Mark Cuban? Well, you got to identify that. Can't be Kellner all the time. Can't be Ted Kellner. You can't build everything on campus. Maybe it's Diane Hendricks. I brought her name up a couple of times. She helped build the Skycarp Stadium in Beloit. ABC Supply. She's the richest woman in Wisconsin. She is a billionaire. I'm not saying that that's how you have to spend your money. I'm saying it's incumbent upon the University of Wisconsin Athletic Department to figure out how are we going to do this. Because if this continues on, unlike you guys, I lived through the Don Morton era when there were 40,000 empty seats at Camp Randall Stadium every single Saturday.
Yeah, just like when the Bucks are bad, it was pick your section night.
Yeah. And I don't want that.
No.
At Wisconsin. Nobody wants that at Wisconsin. So, listen, there's some big questions they got to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you. They've got to be able to figure it out and figure it out fast too, because if Indiana can turn it around fast, things can go south pretty fast too. So
right,
you've got to be able to find a way to get it going before you end up with 20 years of just
Suckage.
Abject horror. Yeah,
which is what Indiana lived through.
You look at Washington now, right? They're ranked. So this is Wisconsin's 5th ranked opponent upon playing them. Iowa's on track to potentially be ranked again later this season. Let's just say 5. So 5 of your first 9 games are going to be against ranked opponents. Next week's a ranked opponent with Indiana, and Illinois probably not going to get back in there. But I mean, this schedule was predicted to be incredibly tough, and it's playing out to be incredibly tough, pairing with Wisconsin's inability to have any sort of footing on the year. It's just been a horror show.
What I will also say, and you're right, and like I said, going into the season, I didn't think that they were going to beat Indiana, didn't think they were going to beat Oregon, didn't think they were going to beat Ohio State, didn't think they were going to beat Michigan, didn't expect them to beat Alabama. I didn't expect any of that. So to your point, absolutely. That having been said, with the exception of Alabama, all those teams that I mentioned, that's your league.
Yeah.
That's the league you play in.
Yeah. I mean, you love the cachet of playing in the Big Ten, one of the toughest conferences in the entire country. And I mean, you're in that part. Like that's what you're going to have to compete with. It's not just Ohio State and Michigan that you're going to have to compete with anymore. It's a whole lot more in there as well. The Big Ten voted to bring in all these guys, all the athletic directors, university presidents. They're all like, yes, bring them in. Bring in USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington. Bring all these teams in. We want the money, yes, but that's going to make it that much more difficult to win the conference and to be able to advance and make it further. So they've got a long road ahead of them. And yeah, unless they get that straight infusion of like Mark Cuban level cash, it's going to be a slow grind to get there, because the only way to go from 3-9 one year to 8-1 the next is like Indiana did, is to have that straight infusion level of cash.
Right.
And if they don't get that, it's a long, slow slog to get up there.
And if you take a 35,000 foot look at it all, I mean, Wisconsin has been, their practice facilities lag behind and have lagged behind. They're building the new Kellner Center right now, which, I think his name's going to be on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And God bless Ted Kellner and his family for, stepping up.
Yeah.
This isn't a knock on them. They're the ones that are doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like the fans that show up at Camp Randall and boo. At least they're there.
Yeah. But I mean, even with that new practice facility with the Kellner Center, when that gets finished, is it going to be as good as Ohio State's practice facility?
Not even close.
Michigan's practice
Nope,
facility?
not even close.
Penn State's practice facility?
Not even close. I mean, that's just fact.
Yeah.
Sorry. That is the fact of the matter. Go visit the Woody Hayes Center in Columbus. That's better than some NFL programs.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Schembechler Center in Michigan. It's better than many NFL facilities. And that's part of the equation. I mean, if you're bringing in, a kid like a Carson Hintzman or a Billy Schrouth, show them Notre Dame's facility, show them Wisconsin's. Which one are they going to pick? Even if there wasn't any other money that was involved, which one are they going to pick? That's what you're up against. That's when Chris McIntosh talks about investment. It's great to talk about it. Now you got to go do it. Yeah. And that's the paradigm shift that we've seen in college athletics right now. It's tough. But if you're going to play in that league and you want us to support, if you want the fans to support it, got to be competitive. And and when the college football playoff the standings came out, I remember just a couple of years ago when they tore up Camp Randall's turf after 2 years to put in heating coils because they thought they were going to be hosting playoff games.
I remember a couple of years ago when Wisconsin, when we were watching with bated breath, those reveals to see where Wisconsin was. And I remember the one time Wisconsin was in the top 4. Wisconsin was in the projected playoff bracket back when it was 4 teams. And all they had to do was win the Big Ten championship game. And then they did not.
Right.
And then they missed.
Thought
and then
now
they played
that they
the
don't
Orange
have
Bowl.
to win it.
Yeah.
They can get in. And they are not in a position to make the college football playoff. They run the table. They're a bowl team this year, boys. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. I would love to listen. That would be.
There we go. It's still on the table.
So you're saying there's a possibility.
There's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance.
That's right.
I have not intentionally ignored the talk and text line. We will hit some of those messages coming up because they are coming in rapidly, as we always appreciate. 877-794-1973. Again, 877-794-1973. D.N.D, Doug, Nick, and Dave on the Game Radio Network.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D will be back in just a moment. Drew and KB are talking sports and stuff every weekday from 2 to 6.
Christian Watson's return to the field for the Green Bay Packers, obviously a huge story, and it's a huge story here in Drew and KB land because it means that we get to say hi to Christian's mom, Krista Lynn, our returning champion. What was it like for Wisconsin's favorite sports mom to watch her son return to the field after 9 months of grueling rehab and isolation and self-doubts, and to see him just frolic on the field like he was never hurt?
I'm going to be really honest. For the first time in my mom career, I was very nervous and anxious, and I'm not really that kind of a person often, but there was just so much leading up to this. And I mean, even after I talked to him on the phone yesterday, I called him before they were leaving the hotel and to head over to the stadium. And I was like, how are you going to get through knocking the cobwebs off? I mean, that's really what it is. There's literally nothing like an actual game or a game time situation that you can simulate. You know what I mean? With other guys coming at you at full speed, they want to hurt you. They want to take you out. How are you going to get through that? And he was like, just being really honest, Mom, I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to do me.
I mean, that's fantastic. It doesn't matter. You would have that same conversation with him if he was in Pop Warner football and as a professional. That's just mom stuff, and that's great.
You can find all of the shows in podcast form. Just search Drew and KB on the iHeartRadio app.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1977.
In February of 77, 60s band leader Manfred Mann has a new band and scores a U.S. #1 hit with a cover of Bruce Springsteen's song Blinded by the Light. In March, Foreigner released their debut album. It goes to #4 in the U.S., driven by 2 top 10 singles, Cold as Ice and Feels Like the First Time. Philadelphia blue-eyed soul duo Hall & Oates have their first U.S. #1 with Rich Girl from their 5th album, Bigger Than the Both of Us. You can Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors is released. It's their second #1 album in a row in the U.S., dominating the charts at #1 for 31 weeks. It spawns 4 top 10 singles, including the #1 Dreams.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1977. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1971.
The Doors released their 6th and final studio album, L.A. Woman, while Paul McCartney releases his 2nd solo album, Ram, which goes to #1 UK and #2 US. The album includes several jibes at John Lennon and the #1 single, Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey. In May of '71, soul singer Marvin Gaye releases his concept album What's Going On and has 3 top 10 singles. And Rod Stewart's 3rd solo album goes #1 and has a #1 single, Maggie May.
Maggie, I wish I'd never seen your face.
In July of '71, The Who releases Who's Next that tops the charts in the UK and goes to #4 in the US.
Teenage wasteland, oh yeah. Teenage wasteland. They're all wasted.
The Allman Brothers released their breakthrough live double album at Fillmore East. And in August, the concert for Bangladesh, organized by George Harrison and Ravi Shankar, is held in New York City. In addition to the organizers, Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, Badfinger, Leon Russell, and Billy Preston appear.
Feel my guitar gently weep.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1971. Coming up.
We call it Wagertainment.
All right, place your bets. Place your bets.
VSiN every night at 6. Presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest on Fox Sports 920.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Peter Gabriel as he reflects on the first official gig Genesis had in 1969.
Well, actually, it was at the end of the lane going to my parents' farm. There was a family there called the Bombs who wanted a band to play at their party. And truthfully, the people at the party really wanted to hear hits, and they didn't want to hear original songs, which is the age-old dilemma for bar bands.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Peter Gabriel and all your favorite artists.
You know, after the 2011 postseason, I hoped I would never have to hear this song ever again because it was just annihilated up your brain.
Too bad, Doug. I remember it.
Single day over and over and over. Who does the song?
Tiny Tempa.
Yeah.
But I remember
concert,
it.
Do they have a medley
I love
of their
it.
hit?
I love it. I think we've been. Yeah. They had one other song, I think, and but this was their main hit. But I remember it. I like it. Good song.
Yeah. Written in the Stars. It's like it's not even a bad song.
No, it's not.
Just was overplayed.
Yeah, a little bit. Every single commercial break, but it's fine.
The NickLayLaw.com talking text line is open to you here on D.N.D. Doug Russell, Nick Bruzewitz, and Dave Gasper. Phil in Merrimack, Wisconsin alumni. He's the CEO of Temu.
That's right. We talked about that before. You want a Temu team? Who wants a Temu quarterback?
I want Temu money.
I mean, this team right now is practically a Temu team. I mean, if you're ordering, hey, let me get a college football team, get it from Temu. That's what this team's kind of looking like.
Let's see. Brian in Minneapolis, when the head coach has little or no relationship with Wisconsin high school coaches, it's going to be bleak. Some more than others. It seems like the assistants are more out than the head coaches.
Yeah.
Let's see. In Iowa, in the 515, over or under 50,000 attendance for the Husky game.
Over by a mile.
Yeah, I'm going to say over.
Yeah.
Because the tickets have already been sold. And listen, Camp Randall's right. Camp Randall's a good time. Don't get me wrong. I would say
they sell beer, but not Yeah.
What's that, Nick?
It's the battle of the UW, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, there you
now,
go.
Listen, a year from now, if substantive changes aren't made, I don't know. They don't have Washington next year. But if substantive changes, here's the real danger, though. If they aren't made when next year rolls around, I'm pulling up next year's schedule, by the way.
Yeah, they got some. They got a little bit more of a reprieve from the super good teams, and they get some of the non so great ones next year.
You get Michigan State, Rutgers, Minnesota, and USC at Camp Randall Stadium in conference. Next year, they play Notre Dame at Lambeau Field on September 6th. They've got non-conference games against Western Illinois in that game against Pittsburgh. Is that the one that's in? Is that overseas? Is that in
Not yet.
Okay.
One more year, 2027, that'll be in Dublin. And I guess I have so many things for Bruisers Bites today. I can spoil this one. The tickets are on sale. August 28th, 2027.
Yeah.
Game tickets on the Wisconsin sideline for Ireland
nice.
Are available.
Speaking of the Irish, I mean, you start the season against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at Lambeau next year as well. So that's going to be a tough one to start.
It's going to be a tough one to start.
Marcus Freeman.
Yes.
Will he be their head coach?
I would anticipate that
LSU come knocking.
Why would, if you're Marcus Freeman, why? What have we not learned our lesson? Yeah. I think it'll be Marcus Freeman going up against his, I don't know. I don't know who Wisconsin's head football coach is going to be. They may make a change. They may not. I will say this, for those Big Ten games against Michigan State, Rutgers, Minnesota, and USC, if they don't make substantive changes, the over-under on attendance is going to be less than 50,000 at Camp Randall Stadium. It just is.
Yeah. No, and I think with this year, with the season tickets being bought, like there was still some excitement. It's like, okay, this is now finally the year, going to see something turn around. Think it's a good team, and then it just kind of takes a nosedive. It's that year after where you really see the effect with attendance and things like that. You see that in baseball, you see that across the board. It's like that year after. I think what was one of the best seasons in attendance for the Brewers all time, wasn't it 2009? It was a year after their big run in 2008.
Definitely. And even before that, it wasn't 1982, it was 1983.
Yeah.
Where they had a huge bump. And when they opened up then Miller Park in 2001, they had a huge surge. But in 2002, granted, they lost 106 games in 2002.
They were bad.
They were very, again, uncompetitive. You lose 106 games, even though they hosted the All-Star game that year. 2002, 2003, attendance plummeted.
Yeah.
So I'm not hoping for this, but I think Badgers fans who are the paying customers at the end of the day, they're the ones who are, investing their time and money into supporting this football team, because I'm not mad. I would never be mad at the ones that show up, even if they do boo. Don't get stupid about it. Your license, it's not, you don't have the right to do anything and everything, but if you want to boo, that's your right. You're going to see fewer and fewer of them, and that was the true erosion of the Don Morton era, and that's ultimately what brought Barry Alvarez to Madison, was the fact that you could go to any game, whether it was against Michigan State or Iowa or Purdue, any of those teams in 1989, and you could just look around and there'd be a sea of empty seats, a sea of silver aluminum.
Yeah, and if you have no one there, it's going to be hard to sell a lot of beer, for example. And we thought Wisconsin was, the biggest beer seller in college football around, Big Ten, whatever it was. But apparently, Nick, we've gotten an update that Wisconsin can't even win at beer sales.
That is correct. Matt Brown, the gentleman who put out that information yesterday, put out a tweet this morning saying, "I deeply regret to inform all of you that my original story had the wrong data for Wisconsin. Here's the corrected alcohol sales chart. After talking with the school, your actual leader is Nebraska. So where does Wisconsin fall? Wisconsin falls all the way down to 8th.
We can't even win at drinking beer. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, this is what we're known for. Drinking beer.
We
can't even win at that.
But it was the first season. Maybe there's a lag, and then there'll be a spike next time.
We're losing to Nebraska in this?
Well, Nebraska.
What are we doing?
Well, Nebraska has, listen, have you ever been to Lincoln?
No.
Okay, you ever been to Nebraska at all? No, my dad's whole family's from Nebraska. I've spent more time in Nebraska than you possibly could have ever imagined.
What's there?
A lot of corn.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of corn.
A lot of corn. I have been to Kansas.
Guys, it's the same.
Once.
It's kind of the same state.
Very similar. Yeah.
John Steppe of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel put out a piece October 29th on this saying, if Wisconsin's disappointing 2025 football season is prompting Badgers fans to drink, they are not doing it at Camp Randall concession stands, or at least not at the level that fans did so in 2024. Camp Randall alcohol sales are down 19.2% in the first 5 home games of 2025 when compared to the first 5 of 2024.
That was another thing that they were late on is, the ability to sell beer at Camp Randall Stadium to those that are of age like you would anywhere else. I mean, why is Wisconsin so slow to act on things that are permanent trends in collegiate athletics? Yeah, they should have. And Barry Alvarez talked about this decades ago. Yeah, we need to sell beer at the stadium. Barry was on that part. Now, facilities, they could have used an infusion earlier than what we've seen.
Yeah.
I've said this for years. If you take an aerial view of that plot of land that the university owns that's next to the hospital and over by Nielsen Tennis Center and over by Goodman Diamond and McClyman soccer facility, there's these rugby fields over there that I don't know. Does Wisconsin not have? Do they have a rugby team that I'm not aware of? Because they've got about 8 rugby fields over there that I don't know that are being utilized, that you could put a legitimate top shelf football facility over there, because you've already got athletic facilities. Like I said, softball team plays over there, track and field, both soccer teams play over there.
Where are you in reference? What are you referencing?
A football facility
location in terms of these fields that are rugby fields, because they might be the intramural soccer fields or all sport.
Does the university own it?
Yeah.
All right, then you build on it.
Well, it's right next to the Baki. Have you seen the Baki? Brand new recreational facility. They built the Nick where the surf used to be over by Og on campus next to the Kohl Center. They built the Baki where the Nat used to be over in Lakeshore. And those facilities are remarkable.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, listen, they do a lot of things really well. The basketball program has good facilities. The hockey facility is great. LeBron Arena is fantastic as a practice facility for the men, and it gives the women an incredible home ice advantage. I'm just saying specific to football and soccer. The soccer facility is pretty bad too.
Yeah, but that's not exactly.
There are some poor facilities.
Yeah, I was going to say soccer's not exactly the revenue generating sport.
It's not, but it's nice to have a good team. But the soccer facilities aren't great. McClymon's not a great soccer facility.
Yeah, you would imagine now that they certainly built in these new teams into the Big Ten, that some of the soccer facilities in the old guard Big Ten versus the new Washington, Oregon, West Coast high caliber soccer program schools. I'm sure there are some disadvantages there. Tennis also, I'm assuming that the new Big Ten schools have much nicer facilities for those.
The only problem with Nielsen is that it's old and it looks old,
right?
But it's indoor and it's nothing technically wrong with it.
It's a nice facility, but like you have to imagine some of these other West Coast warm weather.
Nielsen, you don't have to knock down Nielsen though. Nielsen's, I've been in that tennis facility a lot. I'm married into a tennis family.
Yeah.
But it looks dated, but you can update that. It's the bones are really good. There's a lot of indoor courts. There's nothing really wrong with Nielsen that you can't fix. Is what I'm saying. Everything that every issue that the university athletic department has is fixable. Just need to fix it. There's nothing that's fatal over there. Nothing.
Right. No.
We got a message here from Michael in Appleton saying, build a new football stadium.
It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
They can up. I mean,
they can have upgrades.
Yeah, they can upgrade. Camp Randall, there are parts that look really bad. There's no question. There are parts that look hard.
Yeah. But there also is something to having a historic kind of football stadium that has been around for such a long time. So I think there is something to be said for that. But yeah, there are parts of it that definitely need some upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, the south end zone, what they did over there looks fantastic.
Yeah.
What they did over there is incredible. But, and then they built up in the last 20 years all those boxes around the stadium as well.
Yeah.
And those are nice. It's just getting up to them, because if you're on the west side of the stadium and then you walk to the north side of the stadium, kind of where the student entrance is. Need some upgrades over there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know if they need a new stadium, a whole stadium per se.
Yeah.
I don't know. They could play on that 80-yard practice field outside in the meantime.
Yeah.
All the fans would just get into that lot,
Right.
lot 17?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Until the new Kellner Center opens, they've never had a 100-yard practice field. What?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
This is Big Ten football.
What are we doing?
Well, you typically begin your possession at the 20, so, I mean.
Sure.
There you go.
Okay.
There's no need to practice your back against the wall.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that. The talk and text line is still open to you. 877-794-1973. Jim Polzin will join us in the final hour of the program. Looking forward to Bruisers Bites. That's coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Stay with us. It's D.N.D. on the game.
But I'm still growing up and my family here and they rolling up. So the bigger the bill, the harder you ball. Well, I'm throwing mine, cause my money long, the quicker you're here.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1978.
In January of 1978, the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack is released featuring the music of the Bee Gees. It hits #1 in the U.S. for more than 6 months. An amazing 18 weeks at #1 in the UK, it becomes the best-selling soundtrack album of all time. In February of 78, Pasadena, California hard rock band Van Halen released their self-titled debut album. It hits #19 on the charts. Their cover of The Kinks' You Really Got Me cracks the top 40 at number 36. In March, the Patti Smith Group released their third album, Easter. It goes to #20. Their single, Because the Night, goes to #13. It was co-written with Bruce Springsteen. In May of 78, Detroit rock singer Bob Seger releases his 10th album, Stranger in Town. It goes to #4 in the U.S., yielding 3 top 20 singles, including Still the Same, which also goes to #4.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1978. Coming up.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top police songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Roxanne. Number 2, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. Number 1, Every Breath You Take.
Every breath you take, and every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you.
Hear more from the Police and similar artists now. Search for the Police on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1968.
Born to be wild.
In January of 1968, Steppenwolf released their debut album, including the single Born to be Wild, which charts at #2 in the U.S. Johnny Cash records 2 live shows at California's Folsom Prison, along with June Carter and Carl Perkins. Also in January, the Beatles are #1 with Hello Goodbye. In London, they launched their own company, Applecore, with a store, a recording studio, and record label. February of 68, Pink Floyd lead singer Syd Barrett is checked into a psychiatric hospital and the band replaces him with David Gilmour. The Beatles, Donovan, Mia Farrow, and others travel to India to study transcendental meditation with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And Bill Graham opens the Fillmore East concert venue in an abandoned New York City theater. April of 1968, the musical Hair opens on Broadway for the first of 1,750 performances. It would spawn several top 40 hits, including Aquarius, Good Morning Starshine, and Hair. Simon and Garfunkel released their album Bookends, which goes to #1 in the US and the UK. The single Mrs. Robinson would go to #1 in June, thanks to the movie The Graduate.
God bless you, please, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1968, coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Bryan Adams to talk about what he creatively enjoys the most.
Still, to this day, is the most exciting thing about what I do, which is writing songs. I like to write songs, and it's the only thing really about all of this that I really love. All that sitting around chit-chatting and going on tour, and that's all right, but for me, making music is the one thing that really sparks, and really you do get off on, I mean, yeah, there's nights, there's gigs where you can play and you come off stage and you think I don't have to play. I've just played the best gig I ever played. I can die now. And that's happened to me, but it would be nothing without the song.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Bryan Adams and all your favorite artists.
Mike from Merrill writes on the Talking Text line, the athletic department has been in shambles for 20 plus years and somehow covered up by semi-successful programs, bowl appearances, Legends Championship, etc. I disagree with that. I don't think the athletic department's been in shambles. I think the engine that drives the rest of the athletic department right now is in some trouble, but I don't discount any of the other championships, whether it's been, all the success that the volleyball program has had. The women's hockey team has had an enormous amount of success. They're the gold standard in that sport. The basketball program has been pretty consistent. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think the football program has some issues right now, but I don't think the entire athletic department should suffer for that, and they haven't.
Yeah, I think the engine. I think the engine just needs a little oil, and just kind of a little tune up.
Mike laid out his entire argument on that a few texts above, saying, Wisconsin's the only one without a baseball team.
Well, I haven't had a baseball team in 30 years.
That they saved with Pat Richter.
Yeah, not a fan of not having a baseball team, but continue, Nick.
It doesn't. I don't know why Wisconsin needs a baseball team, because the Big Ten doesn't necessarily compete that much nationally.
But baseball's fun, Doug.
Sure, I love baseball as much as anything, but I mean, they weren't competitive in the Big Ten generally. Maybe they will be now that USC and UCLA are there. No. But the conference historically has not been competitive.
No, the SEC is certainly the gold standard there for baseball and the former Pac-12. But yeah. I mean, he goes through Joe Armantrout. I didn't know that Joe Armantrout's name was going to be dropped in on today's program as well. Did not have that on my bingo card, but yeah, I mean, I don't think the athletic. I disagree with that. Let's see. Sean in the 715. DC Everest has a 100-yard indoor practice field. Yeah, they do.
Good for them.
Well,
you guys see Eau Claire's facilities these days?
I have not. What do they look like?
Incredible. They just built like a massive sports complex that is electric.
Nice. Is it better than the Wisconsin football athletic?
Easily.
Okay. Well, that's a problem. Scott in Cottage Grove, how about let private equity take over football and the university focus on education? Whatever it takes.
Yeah. Well, I saw the Big Ten was looking at that, and everyone's like, I don't know.
Let's see. Phil in Merrimack says it would be nice if they do something for the normal fans, not just the big money donors. Well, sorry, it's all about money right now.
Yeah.
That's are you new to sports?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way that it's been going for a while. There's some Brewers news, Dave.
Yes.
Some television news.
Yes, television news. The Brewers have agreed to an extension with FanDuel Sports Network. So FanDuel will be back next year as well. They did not announce how long the extension is for or how much the Brewers will be getting in rights. But the Brewers will be back on FanDuel Sports Network next season. Also, the spring training schedule is out for next year. The Brewers have
and we're going to win-loss it on the other side.
We are, and they're playing Great Britain.
Man, I can't wait.
Great Britain from the World Baseball Classic, and we got 2 exhibition games at AmFam before the season opener, before opening day. So
cannot wait to see how they're going to do on March 3rd against the Sacramento A's.
Yeah, they let's see, March 3rd.
It's going to be
March
electric.
3rd is actually when they're playing Great Britain.
Oh, okay.
So
the Brits.
Yeah.
Cheerio. One more hour to go. That's a terrible British accent.
Oh my goodness.
I'm never going to do that to you guys again. See you on the other side. Bruce's Bites is next.
You are listening to D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave.
This pains me to say this, but Dave's right.
Hey, why does that pain you to say? I'm right quite a bit, I think.
Middays here on the Game.
I'm Hunter Baumgart with a programming update. Where can you find the games you want to listen to and when? We've got the answers. Coming up tonight, the Badgers women's basketball team hosts Oakland in Madison. That'll tip off at 6:30. You can hear pregame coverage beginning at 6:10 in Madison on 1070 The Game and in Milwaukee on Fox Sports 920 WOKY. You can also hear the Luke Fickell radio show tonight at 7 on 1310 WIBA in Madison. I'm Hunter Baumgart for the Game Radio Network.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1969.
In May of 69, Neil Young releases his first album with Crazy Horse, Everyone Knows This Is Nowhere, featuring the songs Cinnamon Girl and Down by the River. The Who released the double concept album Tommy, which goes top 10 in the US and the UK.
He can't beat my best. His disciples needed him, and he just does the rest. Stop crazy little fingers, never seen him fall. That gift of a blind kid sure plays a mean pinball.
David Bowie's single Space Oddity, released to coincide with the Apollo 11 moon landing, reaches number 5 in the UK. Also in July, Bob Dylan has a top 10 hit with Lay Lady Lay in his new, deeper-sounding vocal style, which he attributes to quitting smoking.
Whatever colors you have in your mind, I'll show them to you, and you'll see them shine. Lay, lady, lay, lay across my big brass bed.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears have a number 2 hit with Spinning Wheel, popularizing the so-called brass rock movement. That includes BST, Chicago, and Electric Flag.
Drop all your troubles by the riverside. Catch a painted pony on the spinning wheel ride.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1969. Coming up.
iHeartRadio.
Here are the top Fleetwood Mac songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Don't Stop.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop using me. It'll be better than before. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone.
Number 2, Dreams. Number 1, Go Your Own Way.
You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it another day.
Hear more from Fleetwood Mac and similar artists now. Search for Fleetwood Mac on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
Ain't it time we said goodbye?
The Rolling Stones are back on top with the number 1 album in the US and the UK and a number 1 single, Angie.
Come on, baby.
Let's Get It On is a number 1 single and a number 2 album for Marvin Gaye. Also in August of 73, Stevie Wonder is back with the number 4 album, Inner Visions. And Florida band Leonard Skinner released their debut album, have a top 20 hit with Freebird, and tour opening for The Who.
Won't you fly?
Fast forward to October, where on their 8th album, the Steve Miller Band debut a smooth blues rock sound and score a number 1 hit with The Joker.
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. sure don't want to hurt no one.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
iHeartRadio. Soundtrack. Flashback.
Boombox? Check. Trench coat? Check. 1989 Say Anything soundtrack was decent enough. We could focus on John Cusack's Lloyd Dobler rap or the obvious choice Peter Gabriel's In Your Eyes.
In your eyes, the light, the heat, I'm complete. Your eyes, see the doorway.
For more great movie soundtrack hits, check out Popcorn Radio on the iHeartRadio app.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Attention, please. We are the Gang and the home of D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave. Weekdays from 10 to 2, live 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, and X by searching 97.3 The Gang.
If I could turn the page in time, then I'd rearrange just a day or two.
Oily Phil writes on the talk and text line, if Wisconsin's looking for donors, how about some of those first-round picks give a little back for the free education they got? The Watch should be able to give some money back. I hope they've at least been tapped on the shoulder. They've made a lot of money.
I would hope so.
Let's see. Phil in Merrimack writes, it's nice to have those big boxes full. Oh, he was writing already about do something for the normal fans. It's nice to have those big boxes full when the cold, hard bleachers are empty. Give us seats. I mean, I think at some point, perhaps. I like the student section. First of all, they got to get the student section full first. Yeah. But paint those seats red so it doesn't look as bad on television in the end, and maybe build in some actual seats. That'd be a nice upgrade. Right. A nice upgrade.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain.
I think that would lower your capacity.
Yes, it would. So it would be harder to kind of look at the stadium as, well, it's so empty. You create a scarcity and you make it a little bit more comfortable. That's what USC did. The old the Coliseum.
Next thing we know, we're Northwestern, and they got like 28,000 people in their football stadium maximum.
No. Do you want to be Northwestern?
That's my question, Doug. You're lowering
frankly,
our capacity.
Northwestern is punching up at this point.
Yeah, well, they kind of are. Northwestern, they couldn't get 20,000 fans in their stadium practically ever. So they tore it down and they did a full rebuild. Wisconsin, I think, should shoot higher than that. But you look at the footprint of Camp Randall Stadium, if you did put in seats, you might lower it from, what's the capacity, about 77,000 now? You could lower it to about 65. I think, that the football stadiums are getting smaller and smaller. Let's bring up the LA Coliseum. They went from a capacity of almost 100,000, and then they just put in seats and made it nicer, redid the suite level in the press box area, and it's now about 65, 70,000 seats.
Yeah, which is still a lot.
Which is still a lot. But it is better than Northwestern. But keep them coming on the talk and text line. Final hour of D.N.D. is underway. Without further ado, we turn things over to our friend Nick Bruzewitz for a little thing we like to call Bruiser's Bites.
Time now for Bruiser's Bites.
It's time for Bruiser's Bites, brought to you by Wisconsin Concrete Coatings, wiconcretecoatings.com. They'll do your garage floors, your garage cabinetry, your outdoor deck, patio. Name your thing with concrete. I'm sure they can coat it with their polyurea coating. Visit them, wiconcretecoatings.com. And we have talked, in my opinion, potentially a criminally low amount of Green Bay Packers football here today. Honestly, Doug's in the Packers sweatshirt, and we haven't talked about it.
You're not. You're not wrong, Nick. You are not wrong.
We have found our way through 3 hours without talking Packers a lot. So
we had Wayne. We did have Wayne on.
Yeah,
that is right. That is right, Wayne. That feels like it was yesterday already.
Well, 4-hour shows are long. Anyway, go on.
Well, John Gruden and Greg Olson were on Wake Up Barstool yesterday with Dave Portnoy talking about the Green Bay Packers. You'll hear Gruden, then Portnoy, then Olson in order.
They ticked me off basically yesterday. I was shocked at their inability to get anything going on offense. And I'm telling you, losing Kraft is big, man.
Greg, what'd you think? You called the game.
Yeah, I mean, it played out exactly the way Carolina needed it to play out.
to pull a game like that off. Green Bay touched the ball 8 times, didn't punt, and scored 13 points. I think they need to put the game more in Jordan Love's hands. They are a good passing offense going into that game. I had Jordan Love as a top 5 guy through the first half of the year. He was a top 5 quarterback in the league this season. I think he can sling it all over. I think they've got young, talented wide receivers. Tucker Kraft going down is just devastating.
Do you guys believe that the Packers need to cut Love loose a little bit more and put a little bit more on his shoulders?
Absolutely. I think Greg Olson is dead spot on right there. I think that they've got to turn him loose more. You give what the defense gives you, and I understand that, but yeah, take some shots. And I know that they did. He took one shot for Matthew Golden, and that didn't work out. I think Golden could have caught that ball, but it would have been a hard pass to catch.
Well, the next play he threw it to Watson.
Yeah,
and he caught it.
And Watson
he did catch it.
Yes, and Christian Watson, the questions about his hands are starting to be answered, and I give him a lot of credit for that. I mean, we like to talk about Devontae Adams sometimes, and when he first got to Green Bay as a first and second year player out of Fresno State, his hands weren't great, and there were a lot of Packers fans that wanted to run that second round pick out of town on a rail as well until he turned himself into the best wide receiver when he was in his prime, and he's still very good, don't get me wrong, but for a time he was the best wide receiver in the National Football League. And I still think that Christian Watson can get there. He's not there yet. But if he continues to stay healthy and work on those hands like he did against the Panthers on Sunday, I don't think there's anything holding him back because he's got all of the other intangibles and physical gifts that you would want. Not there yet, but I think that the potential is there. Just got to hang on to the ball.
Yeah, and I think with Jordan Love, you're trusting the guy enough to pay him $55 million a season. You should trust him enough to let loose in the game, to let him go and just see what he's able to make happen, because you've chosen him. You have designated him. He is the guy for you going forward. He was a successor to Aaron Rodgers. You wanted to see how it worked out. It worked out great. So you signed him to this deal. If you're going to put that much faith in Jordan Love to pay him that contract, you have to put the faith in him when it matters on the field to make the plays to get the offense going.
Longtime NFL safety TJ Ward was on Up and Adams yesterday, and he had some comments about the Green Bay Packers and being the team that he thought they were, and maybe not as good as many.
And it's funny you bring that up because I didn't have them in my top 5 NFC. People was trying to shred me. Yes. And I'm like, I don't believe it.
I saw.
Their wins have no merit. They didn't say anything. They're just bad teams in their back door with a bad loss. So they are who I thought they were. An average NFC team that looks good on occasions. I think they just don't have the confidence to win every week. Sometimes they come into the game and they have belief that they're going to win, and other times they don't. But one thing, you can't go, and then you can't go into a game where you have no sacks when you have the best defensive player in the league, or supposedly the best defensive player that you just traded for, and you don't have any sacks, no quarterback pressures. You have to get to the quarterback in this game. Everybody knows that. So if you're not doing that, you're not going to win.
I already said a lot in that. I spliced together a couple of comments he made. Kay asked some questions in the middle there, and why include him if you can just get the gist from what he had to say?
Sure.
You look at this group, and he is by definition a hater. I mean, he wants the Packers to fail. I mean, based on his personal opinion that they're not good. This is confirmation bias when they lose to Carolina. But he says they lack confidence on occasion. They don't go into games thinking they're going to win. Is that a concern of yours, that you think that this team maybe doesn't believe in themselves?
No, I don't believe that. I also don't believe that none of their wins have merit. The Detroit win on opening night, that had merit. The Washington win, maybe a little bit less because the Commanders aren't all that good right now, especially without Jaden Daniels. But I think that was a good win.
They had Jaden at the time.
They did. Yes. The Cincinnati win was okay. The Arizona win, Arizona is better than their record indicates. The Pittsburgh win, I think, was a good win for them as well. So I discount a lot of that part of it. I don't think that they lack confidence. Maybe I go the other way. Maybe they have too much confidence that they think they're going to right the ship by just being the Green Bay Packers. But he's right when he says you got to get to the quarterback, and not getting to Bryce Young on Sunday. That was part of what made them fatal. Young didn't have a very good game. I mean, they needed to stop the run more than they needed anything else. It's not like, the aerial game was lighting them up against Carolina or anything like that. No, I think maybe they just have too much confidence, if anything, especially offensively when they shouldn't have it. They need to just open it up a little bit. So I think some of the things that he said, I don't agree with factually. I don't know if they're right now they're a top 5 team in the NFC, because I think there's a lot of teams that are still trying to figure themselves out and what they are and who they are in the NFC right now.
Yeah. I'm more with you, Doug. I think it's more of an overconfidence thing. I'm old enough to remember when around week 2, we were talking, like, this team was talking about going undefeated this season and having that 17-0 run. And they were talking about that, like, oh, is this team, really there where they can be that good? So I think the confidence is certainly there, and overconfidence can be just as much of a problem as underconfidence in themselves. So, yeah, I think he is right in the sense that you're not going to win many games if you don't get after the quarterback. I mean, I think that's true, and they struggled with that in this game, but they did pretty well with getting after the quarterback against Arizona. They did pretty well with it against Pittsburgh. They did pretty well in a lot of other games.
Yeah.
They just weren't able to do it in this one.
Well, they better be able to do it moving forward.
Especially
They're
against
not
Jalen
winning
Hurts.
games when they don't get after the quarterback. I'm sorry. I mean, their secondary is not good enough. And Sunday, they didn't even have to do much of anything. And
yeah, no, you're
they
right.
just got ran all over.
They will be tested against Philadelphia. They will be tested. I'm not sold on JJ McCarthy yet, but Jefferson
Jackson Dart, I'm sold on him. Giants in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Giants in a couple of weeks, and then you got Minnesota, then you got Detroit again. Chicago, I think, is going to be a problem for them because they're starting to figure it out offensively. I mean, I know everybody wants to make fun of Caleb Williams, but they're starting to figure it out.
Let's say the Packers kind of repeat what they've done here in the first half of the season. Like, they've played 8 games. They're 5-2-1. If the tie is a loss in my brain. Yeah. So they're 5-8, or 5 of 8 they've won. So roughly a 10-win team. Is that satisfying?
No.
Is that good enough?
No, it's not.
11 or 12, or 11 or 10 or 11.
Yeah, I mean, they won 10 games when they won the last Super Bowl 15 years ago, but they also got hot at the right time and barely got into the playoffs to begin with. I don't know that I necessarily see that as a repeat.
But and that was a 16-game season.
Right, yeah. I mean, they were 10-6, then they had to win their last 2 games. So in essence, their playoffs began when they were 8-6 and had to win the last 2 just to make it into the tournament, and then also needed to have a tiebreaker go their way. Is 10 or 11 wins after the Micah Parsons trade what I anticipated? No, I think that they're a better team than that on paper. They've just got to figure a few things out. Would an 10 or 11 win season be satisfactory to a lot of Packers fans? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not with the amount of talent that's been assembled. No.
Yeah, right. I think they've got to be better than that as well. And, Matt LaFleur essentially going to be coaching for his job at that point because as famously, Ed Policy has talked about, doesn't like lame duck contracts. And this is there's only a year and a half left for Matt LaFleur. So this is kind of the year to prove that he deserves another contract. And if he isn't able to get this roster to perform up to those expectations, we could see a change made there.
We shall see a change that's going to be made at tight end just because of injury. Tucker Kraft out, Luke Musgrave in as your leader in that room. This is what LaFleur had to say about Musgrave.
We got a ton of confidence in, and I think his career got started off on, faced a little adversity being in and out of the lineup with some injuries. But what he does bring is he definitely brings a vertical presence, and we're going to have to put him in situations where he can utilize his strengths.
Is there a silver lining to the Tucker Kraft injury if it meant that Luke Musgrave finally establishes himself as an NFL caliber weapon?
Ooh, I mean, you want to, I'm ready to see their second round pick from 3 years ago perform like a second round pick. Yeah, right. I'm ready for that. I don't know if silver lining is, I think that's, I struggle with that because Tucker Kraft has been so good. And I don't think that there is a silver lining to having one of your best offensive players go down, no matter what it may become born out of that. I Maybe. I don't know. I think it's tough to say because I don't want to make it seem like there's anything good that came out of Tucker Kraft's injury because I don't think there is. But you can also make the most of a really terrible situation if you're Luke Musgrave and if you're the Packers by giving him the opportunity to fulfill some of the promise that we thought that he had when he was drafted. But again, as Matt LaFleur just said, and we've seen it, over the course of the 3 years of his career, the first 2 were beset by injuries. He messed up his ankle last year, says he's 100%. I'm anxious to see what he can do.
I mean, if he's able to deliver on that kind of promise and Musgrave just kind of goes off and just has a fantastic second half of the season, then maybe you could call it a silver lining. But yeah, when you've got Romeo Doubs talking like Tucker Kraft is dead, I don't know if there's a silver lining necessarily to be found. With all that, because he's in a much better place.
He's in a better place these days.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
May his ACL rest in the most peace.
Yeah.
Let's switch to the basketball court. We'll skip Doc Rivers. We kind of hashed out the back-to-back thing earlier in the program, the actual legitimacy to the challenge of playing on a second day of a back-to-back. We saw that with the Bucks last night, losing 128-100 to the Raptors. But Johnny Davis spoke with the media about his NBA journey. He will be starting this season with the Wisconsin Herd.
Coming into the league, I felt I didn't do everything I needed to do the way I should have. And, I kind of had some setbacks a little bit here and there, but, everything happened for a reason. And, I'm just happy to be where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I'd hope that Johnny finds some level of comfortability being back in this state. Maybe he can relaunch his career, get it back on the right track. But right now it feels like Johnny Davis, top 10 pick, might fizzle out pretty quickly in his young career. Unpredictability to the NBA. What do you guys make of Johnny Davis being back in Wisconsin as a member of the Herd?
Hope it helps him, certainly. I mean, you root for a guy like he's from La Crosse, obviously spent couple of really good seasons at the University of Wisconsin, was a star there, top 10 pick, as you mentioned, from the Wizards. I'd be interested to further understand what he means when he says he didn't do some of the things that he wanted to do. Can you play that cut again?
Yeah, I'll play it again for you.
Coming into the league, I felt I didn't do everything I needed to do the way I should have.
What does that mean?
And, I kind of had some setbacks.
I want to know what that means.
Yeah. Was that a mindset? Was that practicing right? Yeah.
I don't know.
He's a young father. Now I think of 2 potentially.
Sure.
Yeah. She was born, his daughter, right on the verge, if not right after him being drafted. Life comes at you fast, Johnny Davis.
Yeah, I'm just interested in what he means by that. I think more than anything else. I hope he can get his career back on track. Absolutely, of course.
Yeah. And the Wizards, that organization was not exactly best suited to help develop him because I think Johnny Davis coming out, there were still some parts of his game that needed a bit more developing. Obviously you could see that the talent was in there, but there's still some parts where it's like, maybe he could benefit from another year in college. But when you got a chance to go top 10, you got to take it. And, he did. And Washington, not the best landing spot. I believe they fired the coach there pretty much shortly after he got there. So the whole
probably twice.
Yeah.
They might have.
Yeah. So they fired the whole staff that brought him in. So then you have a new staff that's kind of looking at him like, where does he really fit here? So I think he needed that change of scenery. So hopefully it helps him being with the Wisconsin Herd. And after you've kind of learned okay, I didn't do these things right. I didn't work hard enough here, whatever it was. Then you can make those changes. And with the talent that we know that's in there, hopefully he can finally tap into it.
You can only hope. I'm hopeful. But it's hard. That just shows you it's unpredictable. You don't know what's what when it comes to a basketball player, any player, when you get drafted early.
Jabari Parker was supposed to be a star.
I called him playing in a high school football game one time.
Oh.
Johnny Davis. Yeah. Out in La Crosse.
I called Will McDonald playing a basketball game at Waukesha North.
Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I called none of I called college games here. I called Johnny Davis basketball games. I guess that counts. Packers and Vikings, along with the Panthers, are expected to host Asante Samuel Jr. for a workout, beginning with the Panthers today. I believe Packers soon. What do you guys make of the prospect of adding an NFL all-time great son, Asante Samuel?
Can't hurt. I mean, especially with Hobbs. Hobbs wasn't very good. Now he's injured. They definitely need some help at the position. So, yeah.
Hobbs' greatest impact is injuring Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not wrong.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they need some
nice.
help, whether it's Asante Samuel Jr. or anybody else who's out there. It's the one area, and I've talked about the Packers being a complete team, as complete as I've seen in a long time, but that doesn't mean that they're flawless by any stretch of the imagination. And even though it didn't come to, a head on Sunday against the Panthers per se, yeah, that's the biggest area of concern that I have for this team moving forward is at cornerback, because I think they're good at safety. I think they're good at linebacker. I think that they've got some elite when they're getting to the quarterback, Micah Parsons on one side and Rashawn Gary on the other. Not having Lucas Van Ness, who is starting to get it in the lineup, that hurts. But yeah, I still have questions at cornerback. Carrington Valentine back there, I think, has been a bit of an upgrade, and at times, Keyshawn Nixon has looked like a legitimate cornerback, like a legitimate number one cornerback. Then there are the other times where he doesn't. So that's a concern. So yeah, you got to kick the tires on everyone, and especially if it's an NFL legend son.
Yes,
Direct Junior.
Yeah, coming off of spinal fusion surgery, though. I mean, that's still scary.
Yeah, the price isn't going to be very high.
Yeah,
now.
The price is not going to be high. You don't know what it's going to be. He could be back to his old self. He could not get back to his old self,
Right.
So there is that concern there. But I mean, taking a flyer on him, now that he's finally healthy, he's a free agent, and you don't got to worry about trading for him or giving up a draft pick to get him. Yeah, it certainly would be worth a shot if he decides that he wants to come here, but a lot of competition for him.
Yeah, entering last season, PFF had Asante Samuel Jr. in their top 20 overall cornerbacks in the NFL. So,
but sometimes one injury can change things.
Right.
I mean, Jair Alexander was never the same really after his broken shoulder. Like, I mean, he was never really the same kind of player after that.
Injuries can change things, but you got to hope maybe Asante is finally healthy. Last year pushed himself to play well injured. We'll see if value is there to be had. I don't know how it would hurt the Packers to bring him in. It certainly wouldn't at all.
It wouldn't. At least to kick the tires on him, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's right. We've dug into the Brewers schedule release for next year's spring training. Adam McCalvey puts out highlights from it. They'll play Team Great Britain, WBC in action. So that is March 20th, spring breakout prospect games. I asked Dave what those were. That means that the top prospects from the Brewers will be playing the top prospects from the Mariners and the A's March 20th and March 22nd. But I thought this was really interesting, and I wanted to direct it at Dave in particular. McCalvey's trying to make the argument. Jim Callis of actually MLB.com is trying to make the argument that Andrew Fisher could be next year's Trey Savage, which would mean he goes all the way from the lowest levels of minor league baseball to being an impactful major leaguer. What do you think of that?
I think it's certainly possible. I mean, as a college corner bat, I mean, those are that's a demographic that can move fairly quickly throughout the system. I think if the Brewers are going to do that, I mean, one, he's going to have to thoroughly dominate in the minors, because we thought Brock Wilken could move quickly, and he suffered an injury and he wasn't really as good. So if he can just play extremely well throughout the minors and continue to push his way up and not really suffer any injuries or setbacks, I think it's possible that he could maybe find a role. But as a corner bat, especially when the Brewers have that position fairly well covered,
maybe
right
not
now.
First base.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if Vaughn is the Linsanity run has come to an end and he's ineffective, then you don't know who
and they've
first
sent
baseman
Fisher
is.
out as a third baseman. I think he's okay over there. I'm not sure if they're going to want to call him up right away to put him at third. So, I think it's interesting. I think he's the best bet of anyone from that Brewers draft class to make that move next year. So, I wouldn't put it past him, but I'm also not betting on it either.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see a first-round pick for the Brewers ascension that quickly and develop and play that well.
Doesn't happen all that often.
Recent history has been better, right?
Yeah.
With Terang and Sal and others, but
yeah, and Mitchell rose pretty quickly. We just haven't seen him on the field. But yeah,
I forgot he existed, honestly, until now. You just told me. I forgot about Garrett Mitchell till this moment.
Yeah, he's still on the team. Believe
what
it or
do you
not.
do with that guy?
Yeah. I hope he
Wrap
stays
him in
healthy.
bubble wrap.
Yeah, that's
And
all you can do. He's an exciting player, but you got to be on the field.
Yeah, and stop sliding headfirst into bases.
Hard-nosed player. You like him a lot. But,
yeah.
I mean,
Handsome guy, too. I mean,
if you're not on the field, you're not on the field. If you can't play, you can't play.
Best ability is availability.
Yeah, really is.
Yeah, so
it really is.
But yeah, I think Mitchell really can be a special player. Got to get him out there.
Yeah, same thing about Christian. I've said for years about Christian Watson.
Yeah,
it's like I think he can be a special player, but you're not going to do that. Mike Holmgren used to say, "You can't make the club in the tub." You got to be on the field. I mean, I don't want to discount anybody's injury, and I don't want to rush anybody out there before they're ready. But what do you want us to judge you on if you're not able to play?
Yeah,
don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's
professional sports is an unforgiving line of work.
Ask Reese Hoskins when he gets a thumb injury and all of a sudden his replacement gets a T-shirt, and by the time Hoskins is ready to come back, it's like, buddy, you don't got a job.
Yeah. What are you doing around here? Your key card's supposed to be declined. Can we get someone on that? He's not supposed to be in the building. We'll end with this. Just another highlight that the tickets are on sale for Ireland. Badgers will face Pittsburgh in football on August 28th, 2027. There are hotel and hospitality packages available, game tickets as well on the Wisconsin sideline. Luxury hotels, exclusive events, optional hospitality upgrades. Book now, badgers2ireland.com.
That'd be fun.
Oh, well done.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
Thank you.
I remember when the Badgers played in Japan that was the game that they clinched the 94 Rose Bowl. So it was at the end of the 93 season. They played Michigan State in Tokyo.
Oh,
that's just nuts. Yeah. And I didn't know that was a thing until I was informed by Mike Heller. But yeah, I was like, they played in Japan.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't know that was a thing until 5 seconds ago when Doug
didn't even know there was an audience.
Yeah.
I mean,
apparently there was.
I'd be interested.
Who knew?
Yeah.
That
they played at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, see, and if we had just taken better advantage of that, the Brewers could have had Shohei Ohtani, or the Badgers could have had Shohei Ohtani.
How long until we have a college football team in Japan? I mean, that's the question.
On that note,
travel schedule. They'll join the Big Ten as well.
Don't give them any ideas. Don't give Tony Petitti any ideas.
I think the Pac-12 will take them because they need someone to.
No, they have to be.
Well, actually, highlight here. Big Pac-12 conversation. Oregon State, Paul Chryst, according to Sean Wright, which could be total BS, is a top candidate for their head coaching job.
Is that Sean Wright NBA?
That's the same guy.
Yeah,
but he's sometimes right about things.
That is a troll account. I am not taking anything he says.
Every once in a while, he gets something right, guys. Sean Wright, that's his name.
Okay. All right, listen.
His name's not Sean Wrong.
The guy knows football. Paul Chryst knows football. I don't know that he's a great head coach. I think he was a better offensive coordinator, but he knows ball. Nobody's going to argue that.
He knows ball.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, not wrong. But recruiting is something that he doesn't know, apparently.
WIConcretecoatings.com, by the way. Bruisers Bites are brought to you by them.
All right. We good?
Just want to make sure I got that in.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yes, that is right. But yes, Sean Wright, he says so.
All right.
That's the only one I'm seeing.
Maybe we'll ask Jim Polzin about that coming up in just a few minutes. Stay with us. It's Doug Russell, Nick Bruzewitz, Dave Gasper, D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network. Stay with us.
No BS on the Game.
Show up all the odds of the different teams that could win the title. There are 14 teams up on there, none of which were named the Milwaukee Bucks.
Wow.
For the first time in a long time.
We're not top 14. Jeez. Okay.
Let alone top 4. Yeah. I mean, that's been the Bucks for a majority of the last decade since Giannis has taken that next step and become the MVP player that he is and has been in the NBA. So you just see at the Potawatomi Sportsbook right now, you can look down the list of different teams, and I think the Bucks appear right around 15th or 18th in terms of odds. They're like 50-1 long shots to win the NBA championship.
Plus 5,000 right now.
And understandably so. They are a really, really unproven group and a very unproven commodity. But when they got the best player in the Eastern Conference that is still seemingly wide open, definitely not as much of an open and shut case as I think the Western Conference is, with Oklahoma City kind of head and shoulders above everybody. In the East, I don't see that. And I see a team that is, with him as motivated as he appears to be, it could lend itself to positive results.
Billy and Armin are talking about all of your favorite teams each morning from 6 to 10 on The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
Van Morrison, formerly of the band Them, has a number 10 hit as a solo artist with Brown Eyed Girl. In July, LA band The Grassroots scored their first top 10 hit with Let's Live for Today. And UK supergroup Cream, featuring guitarist Eric Clapton, toured the US for the first time.
In the sunshine of your love.
And in September, Janis Joplin's band Big Brother and the Holding Company signed with Columbia Records and released their debut album. October of '67, Memphis band The Box Tops, including 17-year-old gravel voice singer Alex Chilton, have a number 1 hit with The Letter.
Yeah, ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train. Lonely days are gone, I'm a going home. My baby used to whip me a leather. My baby used to whip me a leather.
And in November, the first issue of Rolling Stone magazine is published in San Francisco, featuring an interview with John Lennon. The Who have their first and only U.S. top 10 hit with I Can See for Miles. In December, they smashed their instruments on the Smothers Brothers TV show.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967 coming up.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to get some insight on his latest release, Rocket Science.
It's a guitar-based record for sure, and I love big hooks, and it's not a country record at all. It's a rock and roll record, but it does have some country elements.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
Don't miss D.N.D. middays here on The Game.
You can't go back in time, but when the hiring happened, it was universally hailed as a coup. Wisconsin got a coup. They got the best coach available. They got the best coach who wasn't even available. They got the best coach in the country. He was the AP National Coach of the Year, the reigning AP National Coach of the Year. He had just gotten Cincinnati from a group of 5 conference into the college football playoff before it had expanded. It's easy now to go back on it and say it was a mistake. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. But at the time is the only time that you can make that decision. We don't live in a world where you can go back in Marty McFly's DeLorean and go back and change things. That's not how the time continuum works. But what you can do is change the course of history moving forward, however that may be. It's easy to go back and say, you know what, that decision should have been different and you screwed that up. But when the whole world is telling you that it's the right decision and that it's a home run, that it's a grand slam, that anyone else would do it, I just can't get on board with people saying that McIntosh should be hammered for hiring him in the first place.
D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave. Middays here on The Game.
iHeartRadio. Soundtrack. Flashback.
John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. Name a better duo. 1978's Grease had a soundtrack full of hit songs in their own right and a few created just for the film, like Hopelessly Devoted to You.
Hopelessly devoted to you.
For more great movie soundtrack hits, check out Popcorn Radio on the iHeartRadio app.
Jim Polzin coming up in just a couple minutes from the Wisconsin State Journal. It's D.N.D, Doug Russell, Nick Kruzowitz, Dave Gasper. So for all of those saying that, baseball is dying, baseball is dead, no, it really isn't, because the World Series, number one, was a fantastically played World Series.
Oh, yeah.
Between two elite teams. Again, we're several days away from the World Series, and I'm still not convinced that Will's foot was on the plate. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. But a lot of people were tuned into it nevertheless.
Yeah, they were 51 million viewers on average across the U.S., Canada, and Japan. Most watched MLB game in 34 years.
Mercy.
Yeah.
So what was the game that was watched in 91?
Would that be the 91 World Series with the Twins?
Twins and Cardinals? Or no, Twins and Braves. Twins and Braves. Twins and Braves. Twins and Cardinals, that was 87.
Yeah.
So 91, the Twins. Man, people must have been locked in on something.
But
about
that game 7, I believe, was fantastic, though, wasn't it? Wasn't that the Twins like a complete game?
I think so. Was that Jack Morris?
Yeah, I think that might have been Jack Morris just going off. Yeah, that was a 1-0 game in game
10.
7. Jack Morris threw 10 shutout innings.
Yeah. Baseball was different back then.
Yeah. Twins won on a walk-off single by pinch hitter Gene Larkin.
Barry's younger brother.
Yeah. It was
No.
It was
the family resemblance is stunning.
It really is. But yeah, that was Jack Morris and John Smoltz dueling it out in game 7 of the World Series. That had to have been an absolutely fantastic game to watch live.
I'm trying to remember it as much as I can. I would have been a sophomore in college, and I remember it. So that means I probably wasn't completely drunk at the time, which was an oddity for me in college. So yeah, I mean, if it sticks out that much, yeah, I mean the Twins, and that was, Kirby Puckett was on that team. Gary Gaetti.
It was also a Sunday, so you might have been recovering from the.
No guarantees.
That's right. Well, I bet Jim Polzin remembers it.
I'm sure he does. Jim Polzin's coming up next from the Wisconsin State Journal. I don't know if he remembers it. I don't think he was old enough to remember that, but we'll see. But it was the most watched game in 34 years?
34 years.
Goodness. We will talk all things Packers, talk all things Badgers. Well, as time permits with Jim Polzin.
Right.
You know how live conversations go. It's live radio. You never know what's going to happen. It's Doug, Nick, and Dave. D.N.D. on the game.
Don't miss D.N.D. middays here on the game.
Yeah, I've just got to get on my soapbox here after just watching this series, this NLCS, and just how baseball has kind of played out here. It pains me to say this and pains me to kind of talk about this, because this is not something that I've wanted for the longest time, but that lockout is going to be coming in 2027. And at this point, I want it, and I want it to go as long as it takes until there is a salary cap. But MLB needs to implement a salary cap, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are proving to be exactly why. In terms of just the amount of money that the Dodgers are spending just on this roster and how absurd it is. The Dodgers this year have a $416.9 million on their competitive balance tax payroll. Let's compare to other salary caps around the league. The NFL, their salary cap, $279.2 million. The NBA salary cap, $154.6 million. The NHL salary cap, $95.5 million. You total that up, Doug, and you get $529.3 million for the salary caps for all 3 of the other major sports leagues. The Dodgers' competitive balance, their payroll, plus the luxury tax that they're paying $168.9 million in luxury tax. The Dodgers are spending $585.8 million just on this year's roster. That is more than all 3 of the other leagues' salary caps combined.
D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave. Middays here on the game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Eagles songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3. life in the fast lane.
He was too tired to make it. She was too tired to fight about it. Life in the fast lane surely make you lose your mind. Life in the fast lane. Life in the fast lane. Everything all the time.
Number 2, take it easy.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels make you crazy. Come on, baby. Don't say maybe.
Number 1, Hotel California.
There were voices down the corridor. I thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely place.
Hear more from the Eagles and similar artists now. Search for the Eagles on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top John Mellencamp songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Hurt So Good.
Hurt so good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good. Sometimes love don't feel like it should, baby. Hurt so good.
Number 2, Small Town.
No, I cannot forget from where it is that I come from. I cannot forget the people who love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town. And people let me be just what I want to be.
Number 1, Jack and Diane.
Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. They walk on.
Hear more from John Mellencamp and similar artists now. Search for John Mellencamp on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
If you really want to support our troops, just contact the USO.
You can't believe how much they do for us.
To find out how you can help, visit us at USO.org. The USO, until everyone comes home.
Final segment of D&D. Doug Russell, Nick Rusowitz, and Dave Gasper here on the Game Radio Network. Joining us on the program, as he does at this time each and every Wednesday from the Wisconsin State Journal, their outstanding columnist, Jim Polzin, kind enough to spend a few minutes with us. Jim, appreciate the time. How are you today?
Good, guys. How are you?
Doing all right. Are you surprised at all that the Packers didn't do anything at the trading deadline?
No, I'm not super surprised. I think there was a chance. I went yesterday thinking there was a chance they'd pull something off, but I mean, they made their really big move a couple months ago or a month and a half ago with Micah Parsons. So I think they feel like they have the team they need. I think they probably explored and kicked some tires at the tight end position and at cornerback. But, I think Brian Gutekunst has been a guy it's going to take a lot for him to part with draft capital. And I think it's a sign that they think they have what they need and can make up for, the loss of Tucker Kraft.
Jim, this weekend you witnessed another loss from the Packers. It just felt like there was no life from the beginning of the game. What lends into that happening to a group that we think is as good as their record might suggest?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot made last week about the whole trap game thing, right? And which is very much a cliche. And yet I think there's some realness to it. You're coming off an emotional win over a former teammate in Pittsburgh, where you play almost a perfect second half, and you're on top of the world. And I think that can mess with players' psyches, even guys that are professionals and experienced in NFL rosters. And then lingering ahead of you is arguably the biggest regular season game of the year with Philadelphia defending Super Bowl champion. So it's a noon game. I think there's a lot of things that play into it. Now, I don't think any of that is an excuse for not being ready or not reacting in the moment when it became very, very obvious early on that this was going to be a dogfight, and you're going to have to start executing better. I mean, I think it seemed like any chance of there being life in that place, just something bad would happen and it gets, life would kind of get sucked out of Lambeau Field. And then the Tucker Kraft injury, I think, really, really kind of not only took life out of the fans, but I think it had a pretty big, a pretty big reaction from the players too. I think that's a guy that's universally respected in that locker room, both as a player and as a person. And I think seeing him, limp off and need help getting off the field was something that had to, probably have a pretty big impact on the players. So, again, I don't think that's an excuse to not perform and not win that game somehow, some way. But this was one of those weird games. And frankly, there's been too many of, 2 games this year where I just think they had no business losing, and yet they did.
Yeah, Jim, and now you've got a big game coming up this week with the Philadelphia Eagles, and they've got Jair Alexander now, who may or may not be a captain for this game. We'll see if he declares himself one or not. But what do you make of this matchup coming up here? Obviously, the Packers can't play the way that they did against Carolina against Philly and expect to win. But what do you make of Green Bay getting ready for this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to learn a lot about just them in general and how you bounce back, because that is a disappointing loss. Again, you have to kind of get over the hangover effect of losing Tucker Kraft. I don't know that the players in the locker room expected anything to be done on deadline day, but the fact that there wasn't, what will the reaction to that be? And then, yeah, you've got a really, really good opponent, the defending Super Bowl champion, a team that you kind of have to go through to win the NFC, a team that did some work on around the deadline to make themselves better and kind of improve them in some key areas. So I think it's gonna be a tough one, but I do think this is, I think, a pretty good measure of Matt LaFleur, and if he can get his team ready and if they can kind of adjust to losing Tucker Kraft, finding other ways to attack defenses. A big one for Jordan Love to kind of bounce back. I don't think he played terrible against Carolina, but there's a couple big plays I think he'd like to have back, and this is a good chance for him to kind of bounce back and show that the guy that we saw last Sunday isn't necessarily the guy that we'll see going forward.
Going into this weekend, Philadelphia 6-2, the Packers 5-2-1, Tampa Bay 6-2, Seattle 6-2, LA 6-2. In your best estimation, who's the best team in the NFC?
I mean, I'm going to stick with Philadelphia, and maybe this is dumb, but just they are the defending champ, right? Like I just think you have to beat that team, and I think they've improved in a lot of areas. I think they just have a toughness to them. I think that roster is really good, pretty balanced. So yeah, that's the team I would pick right now. I do think there's so long to go before we have to know that answer, and the Packers lose a key player in Tucker Kraft. Other teams could lose key players along the way. But as we stand here on November 5th, I would have a hard time picking anybody other than Philly, even though I think that next tier is, I don't think there's a big gap. And I think any of those teams you listed can be in the running, including the Packers. I mean, I think there's a ton of talent on this roster. I think the defense could be really, really good. I think they just might have to win differently going forward after losing one of their key offensive guys. But I think we've seen them, in doses be a really, really good team. And I still think they can be. It's just, again, I'll go back to this. It's kind of what's in this team's heart going forward after losing a tough game, because I think you're going to learn a lot about this team.
Jim, talking about a gap, another ranked opponent for the Badgers at home this weekend. Washington comes to town, and Wisconsin certainly riding one hell of a stretch, 6 straight losses. There were glimpses against Oregon of a competitive football team. You think there's a chance they could capture more of that and pull off a victory this weekend?
Nick, I just start by saying that you are the master of segues, because you've done that a couple times where you've just
That's what I do.
Just seamlessly gone from one sport. Yeah, very, very impressive. Do I think they can? Yeah, I think they can stay in this game. I think they believe. It doesn't matter really what the rest of us believe. I think they believe coming out of that Oregon game that that maybe they took a step forward. Maybe it's a small step, but it's a step forward after a couple of weeks of going backwards. So, I can sit here and poke holes in that performance and point to the rain kind of being an equalizer that, on a normal weather day, maybe Oregon wins by a bigger margin. But I think that team and those players, I just haven't seen any signs of cracks in talking to them during the week. I talked to a couple guys yesterday, and it seems like a pretty resilient group that has not given up on one another and hasn't given up on the coaching staff. So I think that gives you a chance. I mean, they have to get better play from the quarterback position. They have to get better play from the offense in general. The defense needs to do what it did at Oregon, but also maybe create some turnovers. But I think if you can, that first quarter is so important. If you can get some positive things going and keep this fan base into the game and energized and maybe even create some hope, then yeah, I think you give yourself a chance. But I do think it's going to be difficult. It's a really, really good quarterback they're going against, kind of a team that's trending in the right direction. I think it's going to take a really, really good effort to win this game, and I don't think it'll be pretty. I just don't think this offense is capable of being pretty right now. So you're probably going to have to win like a 17-14 or a 14-13 game. But do I think that's possible? Sure.
Who do you think the quarterback's going to be on Saturday?
I wish I knew. I'm kind of writing something as we speak. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know, because that's been the one position that's just been impossible to figure out, because really the only guy talking about is Luke Fickell, and I think whether it's by design or not, he's kind of spoken in circles, whether you're talking to him about Billy Edwards or Danny O'Neill or Hunter Simmons, and even this week with Carter Smith. My hope, and that's basically what I'm writing this week, is that I hope we see Carter Smith in some capacity. I don't know what that looks like. A package, a series here or there. I just think over the last 4 games, you kind of need to see what you have in him, because I'm going with the assumption that this head coach is going to be back next season, and they're going to go into this offseason having to figure out the quarterback position again. And I'd want to know in these last 4 games what I have in Carter Smith, so I can make decisions starting next month in January when the portal opens. I mean, I just think it's so important to kind of get a better understanding of what you have in Carter Smith.
If that is the case, and we've only got about another minute or so with you, Jim, but if your assumption is correct and Luke Fickell is back next year, I don't know what's going to happen in the next 4 games, but I mean, you've got your ear to the pulse of Badgers Nation. I mean, what are the fans going to say about that if he is back next year? And, what kind of buzz is there going to be leading into spring ball and then ultimately the season?
Yeah, I think more than what the fans say, I think it's going to be what they do in terms of buying tickets. And I think there's a very real chance that the season ticket numbers continue to go down and maybe even dramatically down. So I think that's one thing to watch in the offseason. We're not going to know that until, next September, basically. But I think that's the only way to measure it. The only way for offseason buzz to be possible is if they go out and make a splash in the transfer portal. I don't even know how that looks, but I mean, Chris McIntosh has promised more resources. We'll see what that looks like, but I think that's the only way you're going to create any sort of buzz. I also think, and I'll try to keep this short, I think that this fan base has learned that there's already been buzz from this coaching staff when they first got here and all these players started rolling in. I think there's going to be a little bit of a prove it to me before I get too buzzed.
Fair enough. Jim, we appreciate the time. As always, appreciate the insights. We'll keep reading your great stuff in the Wisconsin State Journal.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, you too. There he goes. Jim Polzin joining us here on D.N.D. to close out the Wednesday portion of the show. So, yeah, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be. There's 4 games left in the season. You got to see some growth because, again, 50,000 fans, that's the baseline. There's going to be more than that for Washington coming up on Saturday, as one of our listeners was asking on the talk and text line. Talk to me in 2026 if things don't get better, because it could get ugly quick.
Yeah.
Real ugly, real quick.
Yeah. And 4 games, you can still keep your red shirt.
It's true.
Still can be in a bowl game. All right, let's do it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Go team.
All right. We'll see what, that's going to be up to them. All right. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you in 20 hours. We'll try to do better tomorrow.
I'm Hunter Baumgart with a programming update.